Yeah, Nathan is exhausted. So the next one, we'll get him on that. So, you know, you know, we'll get Nathan in on that.
Exciting.
Can I get like where my unfinished wall is not like all over the place?
Oh no,
Whatever.
I love it. It's great.
Hey, it looks
Do you
better.
like my stack of stuffed animals I keep behind me for when I stream, so people have something to look at and not just my couch?
Hey,
Oh,
look.
dude, that used to be before I moved to this apartment. I had like some bookcases that like came up maybe like to here-ish, and they were all just covered with stuffed animals.
Yeah, it's just I like put more and more plushies here like every single time I stream. I don't know why.
Well, I might have to like switch my desk like this so I can give somebody something to look at. You know, maybe my Pop Funkos or something. I don't know.
I gotta find and unpack my Titanfall helmet, so it'd be interesting back here again.
I remember.
I did just get plushie shacks in the mail yesterday. Do you want to see it?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I remember that stream with the Titanfall helmet and how you couldn't see anything.
Yeah, I do. Because all you get is this, like right in front of you.
Like,
dude,
I'm
that's
like,
well done.
Isn't
is
it
that
cute?
like a Bungie?
Yeah, this is a Bungie one.
Oh, okay. Because I got their Ghost that they did forever ago.
Yeah, I have the Ghost one too, but this one doesn't have cardboard in it.
Did you guys get the Engram light?
Yes.
No, but I got like way back in the day the set of foam ball, stress ball engrams.
Oh, I just got I just got
my cat.
Those are. I have my TV on this other side of me, so I have all of the engram stress balls, a tiny Shax, the little moon rabbit.
Oh, that's what's up.
I just got these two Pop Funkos of my favorite superhero. It's Moon Knight.
Oh, nice.
That's
Mr. Knight and Moon Knight. I have like 50 comics. I remember I went to Comic-Con with my mother in 2014. Yeah, that's when Desolation of Smog was coming out, I think.
Yeah.
And I went down. I was working at my father's cafe, and my mother called me because she works in the gaming industry. And she was like, I'm going to Comic-Con for work. Do you want to tag along and like learn? And I was like, Dad, I'm calling out. I'm going to Comic-Con. So I went there, and I remember this guy. He was selling comics for his friend. He's like, I have like 50 Moon Knight comics, and I'm just trying to offload them. Do you want them? And I was like, how much you want? And he's like, $70. And I was just like, dude, got you. No problem. So now I just have them. It's not a horrible deal, but, you know, it's Comic-Con. If I have a chance to get a crate of them right then and there, I'll do it. And I remember the Smog, you know, the Smog model was there. It was life-sized Smog's face. Amazing. And then I worked at E3 last year with Sega, and that was incredible. I couldn't believe it. It was so much fun. Just, and the Destiny reveal was about 20 feet from me when they were talking.
Oh, that's what's up.
And Deej was there, I think, and all them. And I was like, oh my God. I was like,
that's even worse.
but I was working, so I was like, I couldn't be like, ah. So I was just like, oh, that's really cool. Like, you know. But, you know, I think we all can agree that we're all hardcore Destiny fans. You know?
Yeah.
What? I thought I was the Destiny hater or something.
No.
God.
Well,
if you believe Reddit.
Constructive criticismer.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think, like I was telling Orchid, you couldn't hear us, but, you know, the thing I like about Joker is that Joker can criticize something in Destiny and still offer like a solution, but also like, you know, just because you're criticizing it doesn't mean you hate it. It's just like, this is something
some people
that's not that good.
Kind of don't understand that there's a entertainment element to a lot of the stuff that, well, I mean, we're all doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be it streaming, be it, you know, writing reviews, be it, you know, doing websites and stuff. We're going to meme. I mean, look at Nate's content. He's a ton of memes, right? Amazing. You go to mine and it's more, you know, hey, this. I'm being critical about this aspect, but I'm also making jokes. And if the jokes come out mean-spirited sometimes, but I mean, like, look at most comedy, though. Comedy just in general can kind of be mean-spirited because if we can't laugh at ourselves, what are we laughing at? Like, you see any, like, late-night show and, come on, they're trashing on everyone.
Yeah. I mean, you know, that's just how it goes. And I think that some people are so connected to the game that they can't handle anyone criticizing anything in it.
Here's the thing: if it has all these problems, I'm making fun of all these problems, but I'm still coming back week after week playing it. Who has the real problem here?
Yeah.
Me or the game? No, but it's because it's such a beautiful. It really is such a beautiful world. It's such a well done game. It just stupid stuff, honestly. Like when you come down to it,
It's
like
things.
like you order a cake and it doesn't have frosting on it.
Yeah,
like what?
Yeah, I agree.
It's still a good cake.
No, that's just a sad log. That's not even a cake.
I think there's a good example of, something that I got super hyped for, and it's my fault, and then it just didn't really hit the way I thought it would, is Shadowkeep, because, Shadowkeep was really like hyped up, and we all know that Bungie's very good at hyping things up.
Oh yeah, you could tell me that their trailers cure cancer, and I'd believe you.
Yeah, I mean, the problem I had with it is that, I love the idea of Guardians, being exposed to something that they're afraid of. Like, like when Ghost goes, Crota, but he's dead. And I was all in.
I know, I was like,
oh, this is so good. And then the campaign, and this is my issue with Destiny in general. Like, and I love Destiny, and incoming, I was there at the alpha. Like, everybody always says that in the comment section.
I bought a PS4
alpha
for that.
person. Yeah.
I wasn't at the alpha, so it's fine.
And that's okay. And
I wasn't there.
It's okay to not be somebody who was in at the alpha, And I just remember being like, every time a DLC comes out with Destiny, they have this potential for the storyline, and then it's over in like 5 hours, and you're like, oh, that's it?
What's even worse is, and this isn't like to harp on it or anything, but you see where they're really stellar at game design when you play the first mission of every fucking DLC ever.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Just do that like 5 more times, please.
Yep.
Yeah.
None of this like fetch quest stuff. Just do that 5 more times and then give us a raid.
I never finished Shadowkeep on my Titan, and so I have been going back to do it, and I am struggling because it's like, get this armor, and I'm like, but I can just do pit 5 times and get this armor. Like, why are you making me do all of these like fucking nightmare hunts?
I hear you.
It's like go, and it's so like in fact, to kind of gather my thoughts and extrapolate on this, Shadowkeep in and of itself, and like Guardian Last Light or First Light or whatever the free to play thing was, where you come in and you start a new character up and you can New Light.
Yeah, New Light,
was kind of such a failure to starting new Guardians, because if I'm supposed to come in and I'm supposed to learn how to play this game in a really quick order, why am I doing that in the expansion again? For the new location, because that's honestly what a lot of the Moon stuff was. When you go in and get that armor, like you were saying, like, oh my god, I got to go do this nightmare hunt. Oh, I got to go do these bounties. Oh, I got to go like run a public event. It's like,
yeah, it just feels like it's and everyone always says it with a lot of games. It's just busy work to pad out the time to make it feel like, oh, I'm doing stuff, but you're really not. And it just, like you said on your Titan, like it's the same thing with me on my Warlock. It's like, you get into it and you're just like, oh my god, I don't want to do it again. Can't I just skip this part? Like, and it's really painful. I remember when I had to bring both my characters through Forsaken, and even Forsaken, as good as its story was, had those moments of like, oh my god, and it sucks because it ruins the experience. Because it starts to like make you think very negatively of it, and you never want that with your game, and so it's really just a missed opportunity, is how I see it. And Shadowkeep to me felt like a very big missed opportunity, because this was such a good chance to make the universe even darker and to really confront your Guardian's emotions and feelings, and revisiting all these story elements from way back in the day. And also, it could have been a great chance to really, truly introduce these characters to new players who don't have that same feeling about Crota.
Right, yeah.
It's very awkward for a New Light player to be like, okay, Crota.
Why do I care about
that
Eris?
is? Yeah,
well, who's
right?
Crota?
Exactly.
Really, really good example is we played through Shadowkeep the first time with my friend who never played Destiny 1. She came into Destiny 2 a year into the game. And so... one of my friend who played with me, forever, like we're reacting to like Omnigul's scream, which is like so iconic because that, and like Destiny 1 players are like, But Destiny 2
Right.
players who never were exposed to it, they're like, well, that's annoying. Oh, that's kind of like a Banshee from Mass
They have
Effect.
no
Oh, okay.
idea.
Well, fine. But
Now
they
I
don't
have
have
this
that
thing screeching in
emotional
my
tie
ear.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buddy,
They don't have that emotional
Feel
tie
this?
to the characters to really give them the same, I don't know, feeling that we got.
Nostalgia.
Yeah, the nostalgia is missing.
Does anybody know how different the audio is for that part for New Light players? Like, do they insert any audio to better explain how they should
No,
feel
probably
about that?
not.
Probably not.
There are little lines here and there for people who don't have a Destiny save point on their console or their PC or whatever. So it does make the audio a little bit different. But that's only in certain places in the game. I don't know if it is in that specific situation.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like it. I just feel bad. I honestly feel bad for New Light players right now, and I'm really hoping that they're telling the truth when they say they're overhauling it for Beyond Light, because honestly, I can't even
Well,
imagine.
they're gonna have to because they're taking out a lot of that content.
Yeah, and it's just
Destiny
gotta be
1's
so
gone, or
overwhelming.
Destiny 2 year 1's gone. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really mind.
No,
I have
really
so
mind.
many opinions about that.
If you're a new
That's
player
good. We'll
coming
get to
in,
Yeah.
right, like, you know, playing this game, Destiny 2, you know, did a great job of letting you learn the game as a new player, even though it took like 6 hours to do it.
Yeah.
Whereas opposed to this kind of macroed crunch down, here's like 50 bounties, go do them, and that's your experience.
And also your menu is just like, bah! You have all this stuff lighting up for you, and you're like, oh, I don't even know where I'm supposed to go. Like, it's a little overwhelming. I remember I deleted my Warlock. I did that glitch where if you delete a character over and over again to level up your recaster. So I did that where I kept deleting my Warlock. And then I redid my Warlock, and I saw all that stuff pop up again. I was like, oh, no. So I feel like it can be very overwhelming for a New Light player. But let's jump over to, for those of you who don't know on this cast, obviously the two people I'm talking to are Destiny 2 streamers. Joker's been here for a long time. And we also have Orchid here. So if you guys want to go ahead and briefly talk about yourselves real quick.
No, go first.
Go for it.
Okay. I'm Orchid, at least known in the community as Orchid, or on Twitter and on Twitch, I'm at HeyItsOrchid. And I'm the one who spams otter pictures at everybody. So
Was that why I saw that otter gift earlier?
Yes.
It was so adorable.
Yeah. So if you follow me on Twitter, suddenly your Twitter timeline is gonna be full of otters. I don't know. I figure they're really cute, and it kind of diffuses a lot of the negativity in the community. So I put a lot of otters on the internet. But really, I'm on a podcast called Guardians of Lore. It's a lore podcast that is for friends who actually read through every lore card of whatever book we're talking about, and then discuss it kind of piecemeal, card by card.
And we love
like a Destiny book club.
Kind of like a Destiny book club, yeah. That's
cool.
a really good way of describing it. We're semi-professional, but in the community now, we've gone so far away from being professional that it's really just like a lot of swears and like dick jokes. So.
Hey, it's a lot of fun, and
So-
anything talking about lore is a good thing.
If you caught my Q&A video for the Halo lore Q&A,
Watched it last night.
it was literally like half the video is like, how does this sexual thing work in the Halo unit? And I'm just like, okay. And the Destiny one's even worse because it's like 50 questions of like, is this character thick? Is this character thick? Who's this character bang? And I'm just like, why?
If you do a Destiny one, I'd be happy to help you. I have all the answers for that.
I'll be in on that too.
Oh god.
So I mean, Joker, if you want to.
I am Joker of Darkside Royalty, formerly Darkside Royalty lore, but now it's just Darkside Royalty because I was able to get the name finally. Plus, I don't think I do enough lore content anymore to really justify that lore moniker. While I do couch a lot of stuff that I'm talking about, like say, hey, this is the story, this is the way that they're doing it, this is the way the writing works. That's not necessarily a lore thing, right? But yeah, I do critiques on the game. I talk about how like things could be better. I stream, you know, if you think that I'm too harsh on the game, come out and check out a stream, and to watch me having a good time with viewers and playing the Crucible. It's actually kind of the most sodium-free thing I do when it comes to Destiny, which you'd think that would be where all the salt comes from.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously with this crisis going on, and everybody's lives being changed due to it, has that impacted your guys' streaming or whatnot? Have you been forced to work around with that?
Totally. So, I actually had COVID in April, and I was sick for 5 weeks. I was out of work. And I'm actually in an industry that's considered essential. So we were having to go to work every day. So I was at home, and so my streaming schedule it drastically changed. I suddenly had all this time if I had the energy to be able to stream, and I started streaming with Man at Arms every single morning before work, before he had to go to work, if he was even working, because he and I are good friends. And so it was a lot more interaction with my community that I didn't think I would have, and it was pretty great, actually. I'm really sad that I'm back at work. Can't stream nearly as much as I was.
Well, we're all glad that you're healthy and okay.
Yeah, that's the more important part.
Yeah.
There's still some lingering exhaustion and stuff, but I'm okay.
Well, that's good. We're very glad.
Thank you.
What about you, Joker?
I mean, as far as the content creation side, I not really, I already worked from home, so I already was doing freelance, and then I was doing YouTube as kind of a thing, and so just streaming was actually something that I was able to throw more into it, as I'm not doing so much, I guess. Well, I mean, Destiny's also kind of dry right now, right? There's nothing really going. So, I mean, streaming it is, hey, why not? Nothing to talk about, so might as well play it.
Now, I'm glad you're both okay. I'm just processing all that. I'm just very glad. I mean, it's it's crazy. I don't know how I didn't catch it. For those of you who don't know, some of the people in the cast should know by now. I graduated college in May in journalism, and in March, my college told all of us, you have to leave the college. We're closing everything down right now. So my mother had a week or so to think of something to do, because my mother lives in Los Angeles, and I was going to college in New York, in just above the New York City. So she had to fly over, come up to me, pick me up, and we had to drive cross country. So I spent a week on the road, and then I got hired by Otaku Gamer as an intern. And then they gave me a chance to start a Destiny Corner, because that's the one thing I've been trying to do. I've been so hardcore to do it since I got into college. It was I want to do a Destiny podcast. So I got back, and obviously isolation is what we're all doing here, because I'm out of work anyway, because of all this stuff. But it's about how you react. Problems are going to come up all the time, but what's important is how you work with it and how you react to it. Everybody can make up excuses, and I mean, and it goes with any walk of life. It could be fitness, it could be anything, but you have to look inside and say, how can I fix it? Because ultimately it is on you. So I've spent this time being bored out of my mind, but instead, finally got a chance to do this, and then I reached out to you guys, and I didn't know if you'd respond, but I'm glad you guys did. And
gotta make it, take the negative energy, try to do something positive with it.
Exactly. And if we can bring more thoughts and discussion to the Destiny community in a positive way, then I think that's a win.
Yep.
So
here.
Let's jump over to a very big topic for Destiny right now, and that's this unexpected delay for Beyond Light.
Gosh.
For those of you listening who don't know, it was supposed to come out September 22nd.
Yep.
And it's been pushed to November 10th.
Yeah, it comes out on my birthday.
Oh, hey, there you go.
Yay.
I mean, that's like a birthday present for you.
Happy birthday to me.
Yeah. But it has been pushed to November.
You get to do video game chores. No.
Yeah.
Let's
I'm taking the
Fingers
rest of that week off to play. So
Well, I mean, hey, that's good.
Yeah.
So it's been pushed to November. That caught everybody in the community off guard. And obviously, we've seen a lot of negative and positive reactions to it. I think it took me about a couple days to process it, to understand, like, oh no. But, if it leads to it being better baked, then a good thing. So what are your guys' thoughts on this delay?
I honestly am. I think I'm one of the few people that like the delay.
Mhm.
I always support companies that want to delay a video game, especially to make it better. Like Cyberpunk has been delayed so many times now, and I mean, if that's really garbage when it comes out and it's been delayed this much, I'll have a different opinion. But like games that are delayed, it's usually for a good reason, and I think the Destiny community has a lot of grace when it comes to forgiving the devs, because we've all been locked up at home and they have too. And I can't imagine how much work it is to make a video game, let alone make it from home. Like when you're trying to fight your kids and your cats and like actually just like work through whatever garbage internet you have in Seattle. So like I think it's a good thing that it's being delayed, and I'm a little happy also because I've just not been playing as much this season as I did the previous couple of seasons, because there's just, at least for me, story-wise, there's not a whole lot there. Like I was really excited about like the Tree of Silver Wings, and that's a huge, I know, right?
Yeah.
Huge deal, but like lore-wise, it's a huge deal. So there's a lot of lore stuff coming out, but gameplay-wise, I was just kind of bored a bit.
Yeah.
So
No,
it gives us more time to actually complete all the stuff that we need to complete. I know a lot of people are already done with their someone called it Drifter's laundromat. And I loved that for some reason.
Yeah.
But I'm not even remotely close to powering up this season, so I like the delay a lot for multiple reasons.
To just kind of echo some of the stuff that just talked about, like with this season, not playing it. I can play. I'm not one of those people that need new content like every other week, right? I'll go in and play PvP, dude. Like at the end of the day, the story, the single player, the PvE stuff matters less to me than PvP. People are gonna be like, "But Joker, you talk about PvE all the time." But where I'm gonna spend my time is going to be PvP. That's just the way I've been since Halo. You play the story, maybe you play some firefight, then you go play PvP. So as far as the season goes, or last season, or even this year going into Beyond Light, I do think that it is kind of a good time to like take a step back, play some other things, detox, maybe not be in that position where when Beyond Light comes out, you feel like you're just doing more of the same bounty sim grinding. I mean, we're still going to talk about it if they choose to do that design. Let's hope they don't. But because they didn't have to do that with Forsaken, but they chose to do Shadowkeep, If they choose to keep doing kind of more of the same, I think that's going to be worse for Bungie in the long run. But, it is what it is, especially after a bloated out or extended season. But as far as Beyond Light being pushed back, I think it's an interesting date. And I was really skeptical at first because, I mean, it's right before Cyberpunk and days after Call of Duty.
And Halo Infinite, I believe, comes out. Yeah.
We don't have a date.
So do you think that is a coincidence?
So I don't think that that's necessarily coincidence. What I think is they picked a day. They go, this isn't too far into season 13. This will be kind of in the middle of when we were planning season 12. This is the latest we can do. I think that's exactly all that was. I don't think this was a marketing thing. I think they were back to a wall. That's all they could do.
Yeah. I think it also has to do with like where it is in relation to the holidays too, because you don't want to release it too close to Thanksgiving.
Right.
So, like you said, it was probably the last possible date to release it.
Now, I probably would have liked to see it pushed back to December, just, in general, but that's starting season 13, and they're not going to do that. But I think one of the things, though, that's going to help them is something that nobody saw, and I haven't seen anybody really talk about. Destiny Beyond Light is going to be on Games Pass. And so now you have, 10 million people apparently use Games Pass or whatever the bloated Microsoft number is. Yeah, same here. I use it. And so it's going to be part of that. And so, yeah, if you have it, you still have to buy Season 12, but you're going to have the DLC for free. And that's a $50 purchase you're no longer making. That's a $10 purchase or a $30 purchase for the just overall Season Pass. You know? Because a $50 purchase right next to Call of Duty and Cyberpunk, nobody's going to want to make that.
You could argue that I'm not going to say that their motive is this, but you could, in a way, argue that there's a push to get more of them more players on Xbox than PlayStation, given the changes that are being made to the game.
I wonder, though, what the back end quid pro quo is on this. Because
and we'll never know until
we'll never know. But I'm like, in my mind, I'm just because one, they're putting out a Destiny DLC next to whenever Halo's coming out, and Microsoft is just helping them with this. Yeah. So it's like Microsoft, what do you get on the back end, or what is Bungie getting on the back end? Is it maybe help with their engine? I heard rumors about that, or help with their online infrastructure because they don't have any anti-cheat. And you'll notice that in fact, the PC version is 2021 for Games Pass, not 2020. So I wonder if they're having to build an infrastructure for that because it's not going to be part of the same Steam community.
That's a very interesting point. I think that there is definitely something Microsoft is doing to help them out. And I mean, hopefully it's a very, very, very good thing. Anti-cheat. But
anti-cheat.
I mean, I got DDoSed on Trials a couple weeks ago, and it screwed everything up in my household. And it really ruined my mood because I was like, I just want to play a quick Trials game, Game 1, DDoS. And I was like, what?
Yeah, I think it was.
I would expect that.
That's such a real feel right there.
Like True Vanguard, I think he was talking to a couple months ago when Trials first came out. He's like, yeah, I'm only going to be playing Trials on this day or that day because my kid's home. They're trying to do their homework, and I'm not going to risk frying a router. So they're missing out on school because Bungie can't deal with their anti-cheat and their DDoS and all this nonsense.
Yeah, and like a lot of the streamers have said, we just want to know that there is one. We don't need to know the specifics, but we need to know that there is an anti-cheat. Please.
Right.
And it's always bouncing around that. And the TWAB today didn't really have anything to do with that, which was a little depressing.
Yeah, you see, I think it's Astacross boycotting the TWAB.
The TWAB today got some strong comments from
very light today.
I'm really glad that came out. I got all those comments to come out right before we started this because that's going to be a good topic for us. So do you think that the release date is going to be detrimental for Beyond Light due to it coming out so close to all these other big games?
No.
I think you have the 700,000 to 800,000 people that if you were to go on Destiny Tracker and you'd see routinely log in every week, I think that they're going to buy it.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not going to buy it day one. Maybe they're not even going to buy it by the end of the month. But you know what? Before probably the end of the season, they'll be on it. Definitely in December. So if we're talking about long haul, yeah. And then again, like I said, with the Xbox, that may not be direct sales or something, but that is going to be more, asses in chairs type thing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I definitely think that people they're definitely going to be all in on Beyond Light. Maybe not immediately, And given how the crisis goes on around this and what they decide on all these other things that have to do with all of our money, hopefully things can be a little better so that people can enjoy more games around that time.
Yeah, that's the only other thing I'm looking at is there's also 2 new consoles dropping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we know the prices yet. So
yeah. At least
I would
500.
say at least 500, if not 600.
At least 500.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll trade in my Xbox One X, to get something off it. It's probably going to not be that much, but I'm still going to get it.
Right.
But also, now this is more towards Joker, but I don't know how much you like this gun, Orchid, so I definitely do want your opinion on this. The changes coming to Hawkman. What are your thoughts?
What? Who? Okay.
My question first is why?
Yeah, right.
Because it's not even Hawkmoon anymore.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of Hawkmoon.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I understand this. We have a very defined gun, a gun that does a very specific thing.
Yep.
And somehow, some way, through some Herculean leap in logic that us mere mortals will never be able to comprehend, somebody at Bungie goes, yeah, you know what? All right, let's take the model and just remove everything else it did and just call it the same thing to get people hyped about it.
Yeah. And it blew up in their face because everybody was like, that's not Hawkmoon then.
I know, right? Like,
that's just
make it
Ias
something
Luna.
else.
That's just an exotic Ias Luna.
Yeah.
Or sorry, Austringer.
Yeah, I think there's weapons that should just not come back, right? Like, I'm okay with
Agreed.
Luck in the Chamber never coming back, right?
Mm.
I'm okay with Holding Aces never coming back. Fine, fair enough. Don't bring back Hawkmoon.
I agree. I mean, I've been on this crusade lately of leave Galahorn behind, because if they bring it back and it gets nerfed, everybody's gonna lose their mind. It's just leave it there.
I do have a theory. So
okay.
Witherhoard is just exotic mountaintop.
Yeah.
It does some more things because it's an exotic, but realistically it plays that same role.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other one that we just got?
Ruinous Effigy?
No,
Yeah.
not Ruinous Effigy. Was
It's
it Witherhoard?
exotic?
Am I just thinking of something else?
It's an
But
exotic?
you have Witherhoard, and it's very much mountaintop-like. And then maybe we get Hawkmoon, right? And it's basically just Luna's Howl.
Yeah.
As an exotic.
That would be very depressing. Because I didn't get Hawkmoon until the very end because I was an Xbox player. And so it wasn't as good. But I remember my friends being PlayStation players and just talking it up so much. They're like, oh, the good days with Hawkmoon.
Yeah.
And then they read that and they were like, what? They lost their mind. They're like, that's not Hawkmoon.
And then I got a spicier take. Icebreaker is going to come back, and it's just going to be Revoker as an exotic.
Oh God, no!
Please don't
bring. I hate
Stop
that
right
gun.
now.
I hate Icebreaker with every
firing
fiber of my being. I have bad memories of Icebreaker ruining my Trials of Osiris runs.
I love Icebreaker. Honestly, we had a question posed to us on our own podcast that was, what's your favorite D1 weapon? And two of us said Icebreaker.
Oh.
And I was one of them. I love that gun so much. If it came back exactly as it was, I would lose my shit. But
I think it'd be very interesting if it did because of all the hate towards Revoker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like Revoker though.
I mean, I like it too, but I can understand why people hate it, and I can understand why some people at Bungie might be like, oh, maybe this wasn't exactly the best idea to bring this into the game.
Right. Well, that goes back to kind of a philosophy that I've been talking about is we need to stop nerfing weapon perks and stuff like that. Start nerfing weapon stats. Okay, why do our snipers have 90% aim assist and 500% bullet magnetism? I'm exaggerating, but seriously, these things go around corners.
I mean, Beloved has the most aim assist out of all the snipers in the game, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, these are supposed to be these high-skilled, precision-based weapons. Why are they doing half the work for you?
Yeah, I mean, so everyone knows, I am a awful sniper in any game, but I'm still popping headshots with Beloved and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
And I totally know it's because of aim assist. It is not because of my skill.
No, I'm right there with you, dude.
Yeah.
I'm a shotgun 8, and I had to put it on for something, and I was I looked back at the actual stat reports, and it was the only time I'd ever used a sniper in Destiny 2. So it's you have 80 something kills and with a 90% accuracy rate, and I'm like, what? No, stop.
Yeah,
I'm not good.
Yeah. I like that you're honest about what you like, though. You're a shoulder charging, shotgun maining Titan, and at least you're very honest about it. You're like, I just like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
I don't know why they had to nerf shoulder charge, because now you just go through things.
I know.
For example, I was playing Crucible the other day, and I shoulder charged a guy who was also trying to Jotun me at the same time, and I should have made contact since he was directly in front of me. But instead I got a face full of toaster, and it was awful. And I was like,
yeah, that goes back to hit detection has always been wonky. That's why things like shoulder charge and sentinel shield and whatnot have so much aim assist on them, or like magnetism, is because without it, then you start actually seeing the hit detection, and that's been something that's been a problem since Destiny 1. Like if you remember Arcblade had the worst hit detection ever.
Hit detection, yeah.
I have good memories of the Arcblade and some horrible memories due to that.
Actually, some really bad hit detection is in the Pit of Heresy when you're trying to use swords on the knight.
Oh yeah.
When you're trying to swipe hit him, doing like the light attack, the hit detection is.
And insane. I have to imagine it's probably something with the way that their network is done, you know, because it is peer-to-peer. It's not on dedicated servers.
Right. And it never will be, probably.
That's the other thing. And we kind of forget about, like, say, if you go back to, like, Halo 3. Halo 3's hit registration was ass.
It's been a long time since I played Halo 3.
But, like, it was the only thing around at the time, so we didn't know better.
Right, yeah. That was just the way it was.
This is so cool. I'm playing online. I'm tapping heads. That should have killed.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, I wish we could get dedicated servers, and it probably never will happen. And it's really sad because it would improve the game so much. So, we've covered Hawkmoon. And since that's a weapon change, we should briefly talk about sunsetting. Even though I know you did a video on it. Let's talk about sunsetting. What are your thoughts on it?
Because this is gonna go straight into a rant. I need a moment.
Go for it, Orchid.
I hate it so much. So, you know, a lot of year one weapons I actually still like to pull out. Especially like some of the Trials weapons were actually really good from Trials of the 9. And I worked really hard for them, and I want to keep using them. The same thing with like even like using Randy's or using like my Not Forgotten or any of those weapons. I worked really hard for them. Why are you taking them away from me when I sunk hundreds and hundreds of hours into getting Not Forgotten? That was this stupid amount of work just to get Luna's Howl, and then like trying to, like I play Crucible. I'm not good at Crucible. Like I definitely am the first to admit I will hop in my friends' backpacks always. Like I have the flawless title because of my friends, not because I contributed anything to like us going through Trials. But for me, it's a struggle. Like I'm not a good player. I really enjoy it and I'm very passionate. I am garbage at Destiny. And so for me, like when I finally got Luna's, it was like my biggest triumph, kind of, because I worked so hard on it and I did it all by myself, and all these weapons that I worked hard to get I did on my own, and now I can't use them anymore, ? Like, oh, they're still going to be used in Crucible. I'm like, no, because if I want to play Iron Banner, if I want to like take it into Trials, like forget using Mountaintop anymore. I got to find new Mountaintop. But at the same time, every single new activity requires you to be at light level. So you won't be able to use those weapons anyway. They really are just trashing like a 3 years worth of gear that we have.
Yeah, I feel you definitely on Trials of the 9. All right. Trials of the 9 had its issues. I still love the aesthetic of it. I loved the armor and the guns. I worked really hard for those guns.
I was
still
really
salty
happy.
I can't have the ornaments for the armor because I didn't go flawless in season 2. I went flawless in season 3. Oh.
Yeah.
So I'm really salty about that. I really wish they would have brought back the ornaments somehow in the dungeon for doing like triumphs or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm glad they brought the armor back anyway, because this was the one thing I've been like screaming into the void is please let me have my freaking Trials armor back. It was a good look.
I love that aqua.
I love my dumb fisherman hat.
I love that fisherman hat. It's so cool. But I do absolutely feel you. When it was first announced, I was on the bandwagon briefly. I was like, oh, this is going to be good for the game. It's going to allow them for new changes. And then this DLC came out. Well, the season came out. And I was like, well, this sucks. Wow, bygones. Gnawing Hunger again. Like, I have a good Gnawing Hunger. Why do I need this Gnawing Hunger?
Exactly. And this is what I feared when they talked about sunsetting in the first place was, oh, well, they promised, oh, well, we're going to have new weapons. People are like, oh, no, they'll bring new weapons. It'll be fine. I'm like, okay, well, then why am I getting a bunch of weapons that I had from like year 2?
Mm-hmm. And have you
back
noticed that,
that
I
I
don't
already
know if
have the
everyone
rolls
noticed,
for?
if you go to the recaster and you go to some of the engrams and you get like the weapons from Season of Dawn, they still have the Season of Dawn symbol.
Right.
They still have the Season of Dawn infusion end,
Yep.
So it's like, why would I even try to get that weapon if it's not going to be good?
Yeah.
Like, it just reeks of like,
It's
there's no
laziness.
thought put into it. And it's just really frustrating as a player because you want to love the game and you want to love new stuff, but stop bringing back old stuff with different perks, but it still has the same infusion. Like, why can I get a Shadowkeep weapon from the recaster that's gonna suck in 2 months? Who thought that was a good idea, and how did that get past managers who said it's good, go for it? Like, nobody thought this, but as players we see this thing and we're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. That must be a glitch, like the Garden of Salvation glitch.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone was like, wait, what's up with that? How? It's just, with a company that big, how do these things go through and nobody sees it? That's
well, if the and I always take this with a grain of salt, right?
Of
So we're gonna talk a little rumor mill.
Yeah.
If you look in the Glassdoor and you look at like the Glassdoor's website,
Yep.
and I did a thing way back in the day, and I only used like 4 and 5 star reviews.
Yep.
And like one of the common things was like management's slow to do anything. It's a great place, great people, yada yada, but management can be slow to do anything, and feedback is almost weird with the way that it's like given or taken. It's sort of like people are afraid to be overly critical.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have this kind of upper management mentality of, well, we made Halo.
Oh yeah, I definitely can understand that. I bet that's in there. I really do. And that's in any industry,
Oh yeah.
Somebody can say, oh, I was this and that, or I mean, you see it in sports, oh, I won a Super Bowl. Okay, that doesn't mean that you're any good now.
Yeah.
Like, so I definitely agree with you. There's some guys there from Bungie. There's some guys there from old Bungie that definitely probably have that mindset of like,
I think
we made Halo,
like
so we're good. And it's like, well, Halo wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
It was game changing for the time when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And the story is really excellent and the lore is very deep, and it was a very good predecessor to Destiny, but at the same time, just because you did this one great thing, I mean, look at BioWare right now and like the trash fire that company is self. Like Mass Effect trilogy, like I am very biased because that's my favorite game is Mass Effect.
Understandable.
And the whole trilogy, that and Dragon Age, I love both of them so much.
About the remasters for the trilogy.
I am terrified because they're adding new missions in and they're changing things. And
that's what I heard.
Don't want to know what I'm like, just leave the games alone. Just redo the textures, fix the engines. Yeah. But they're changing like the entire way the game is played. And
that's terrifying and it's scary because I remember day one Mass Effect 2, young me. Yep. Losing my mind. And those games had plenty of content on their own. You don't have to add more content. They were fine.
They're fine. There's tons of stuff to do. They're very long games if you put in the time to play them and find all the side quests and stuff.
As a counter to the people at Bungie who may be the old hats who say, well, we made Halo, a good counter to that would be, okay, doesn't feel like it. Doesn't feel like you brought any of your lessons over sometimes, like some of the things that we did back in the day.
Oh, no, I agree.
Storytelling.
I have a great
spots. Go for it.
I have a great example of this. Every time I talk about like Destiny and Halo doing things, look at the multiplayer suite of options that Halo had. If you go to like Halo Reach, you could set, I want my language, my region, good connection, or my skill, or this, that, and the other. Even in Halo 5 you can still do that preferred connection, preferred region, yada yada yada. There's just so many preferences. Okay, and you could even have like social preferences. So if you're going to be in the lobby, if you're going to be talking to people, you could be like, yeah, I want a rowdy, everybody's like having fun, yada yada yada, or I want a more respectful, this, that, and the other. Where like where's these preferences in Destiny? Like we talk about like skill. Oh, should Destiny have skill-based matchmaking? Should it be connection-based matchmaking? We argue about that as a community like every other weekend.
Yeah.
Let it be opt-in. If people want skill-based matchmaking, let them opt in.
Yeah. I see. This is for me because I am a trash heap of a Crucible player. I want skill-based matchmaking.
Yeah.
Because then I can at least feel like, at least in my group of people, I'm not completely terrible. Because it's really disheartening when you're dropping into a connection-based whatever.
Right.
And suddenly you're just getting like, to joke about like Call of Duty, you're getting 360 no scoped like from like across the map, and you're like, okay, well, people say, oh no, you just need to play against people who are better than you to improve, but there is such a thing as these people are too good to play with.
Yeah.
Because you can't kill anybody. You were not learning anything. So you're gonna get one kill in the game and then you're gonna quit playing because it doesn't feel good to play that way.
That
it feels
happened
good
to me.
for the people who are good, but it feels terrible for the people who are bad.
That happened to me a couple days ago. I logged in to play a couple Crucible matches while I was waiting for something, and I just got absolutely manhandled 3 straight times.
I feel like I'm the Crucible pub stomper in
here. I mean, it's fine.
Like, no, crap.
Fine. I mean, but I feel you, because we got pub stomped 3 times in a row. Just like early defeat, Shax called it 3 straight times, and I was just like, yep, not playing right now.
Night. I'm not even joking. We played like for 3 hours solid, and every game ended in a mercy. And I was just playing with random fans, but it's just because we had a level of communication.
And the problem is this connection-based thing. There are positives, but there are negatives that sometimes you're just gonna destroy people, or you're going to get absolutely destroyed, and it sucks, especially for people like
just
me.
Kind of on the negative thing, the negatives versus the positives. As a like it sounds trite to say, and I'm not trying to like be mean or anything. Bad players can always get better. Now, whether the scope on that or, because I used to play Halo 3 all the time. I'm going to go here. I didn't know simple things like that bullets were projectiles, and so you had to lead your targets, Now imagine recontextualizing the whole game once you learn that mechanic. Yeah, that's going to make like playing the game doesn't necessarily make you better. Understanding it does. But on the flip side, you're also still going to get pub stomp. You're still, maybe you reach a plateau, or maybe you don't have the time to put it. That's something I completely understand and I completely respect. And it's a valid concern. This goes back to why I said there should be opt-ins, right, for skill-based matchmaking. Because on the flip side, when you're, say, the top 1%, well, that means there's only like 100 people in the world you can match with, and that's across the world. So you're matching with like 3 people in China, one person in Russia, a dude in Canada, a dude in Australia with no internet, but somehow he's still online.
Every single Australian friend I have.
Some dude who has his router in a fucking toilet,
Yeah.
And you're matching these same people over and over and over and over again. And as somebody who, cut my teeth in Halo, who grew up in Halo, who, was the rank 50 and MLG and Team Slayer and FFA, I don't have a problem playing hard games, right? In fact, I'm going back to Halo right now, and I'm just getting pub stomped every game because I don't know how to play the game. I'm so used to Destiny doing a lot of things for me, like with shoulder charge, like with shotguns that shoot you from 8 miles away. But, when you're on that higher skill plateau, when you're playing those people, and it's lag, it's disconnects, it's beaver errors, there's a technical issue in the networking that does not allow for skill-based matchmaking to work properly. That's why I think, like I said, it should be connection-based matchmaking default. And then you two are talking about it. You have to imagine that there'd be a ton of people who'd want to opt into that.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be like a player base that doesn't exist, as it would be, say, up in the top echelons of play, where it's only a couple hundred, if maybe even a couple thousand people. Yeah. So that's just my thoughts on it.
I think that's a very fair point.
I've been playing more and more because I play on PC and I play on Xbox. My Australian friends are all on PC. And then I stream through Capture Card with my Xbox friends a lot because they're the ones that I play with regularly. So because they don't want to come over to PC, and I'm so sad about it. But I've noticed that when I'm on PC, I am still matchmaking with people in China, you know, people in Canada. I mean, I live near Canada, but people in Canada, people like I play on the Bungie servers, like I play on the Seattle servers. But I'm still matchmaking with people like in Asia. I'm still matchmaking with people that are far enough away that I'm wondering like how this is connection-based matchmaking when they're clearly across the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Still. So there's something wrong even with their connection-based
Well, I
matchmaking.
think it's just because PC is, I would have to see the numbers. I don't know what they are, but just because of cheating and because of people just are sick of it, right? So when you go play console, there's probably a bigger pool there than there is on
definitely.
PC.
Yeah, I'll see people from nearby. I saw one of my friends that lives like in the next town over in the tower one day. And of course, I like ran up to try to punch them, and you can't because they're not in your fire team. But
you totally digress from sunsetting.
No, I mean it's totally fine. It's totally fine.
I just realized that.
Roger, did we get to your thoughts on sunsetting? I don't think we did.
No,
I think you have plenty of time to think about it now.
Okay, so yeah, I've had plenty of time. So like we were saying earlier, what's the point of sunsetting when my gnawing hunger that I got forever ago when, Season of the Drifter was a thing, and then my gnawing hunger now is not even a different role, not even new perks. It's the same thing. It's just easier to get.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of sunsetting then?
There's no point.
Zero. The problem really is, if we're going to talk about balance, because people are like, well, this gives Bungie time to balance, but Joker, and I'm like, but they're not. They're clear. 600 rate of fire auto rifles are king of the meta. But balance? No, nobody cares about balance. Look at Fellwinter. They gave everybody Fellwinter's Lie and Suros. I mean, come on. Like, if we wanted to boil down the meta to like 2 weapons and like Revoker or whatever, or Beloved, you can go easily farm Beloved. The meta is literally Gnawing Hunger, Suros, Beloved, and Fellwinters. Maybe some Mountaintop. And so it's like, that's not balanced. I mean, I guess if by balance you mean everybody's using the same thing, then fine, fair enough. But so it's not for balance. It's not for retiring problem children, because if they wanted to retire problem children, I hate to say it, just nerf the crap out of Revoker, Mountaintop, and Not Forgotten. Even though Not Forgotten's already been it's a sad day, man. And that
non-existence.
And, on kind of a tangent, the nerf to Not Forgotten and the way that everybody's defending 600 rate of fire auto rifles shows that the nerf to Not Forgotten wasn't about time to kill. It was about accessibility.
It was. Yeah, absolutely. They didn't want the top 5% of people, or the people who are willing to put in the time to grind for it. They didn't want to give them a better weapon than everyone else had, because then it's just even worse.
Well, not even
that's what a lot of people are complaining about, the least that I heard. The player population, not necessarily Bungie, right? Because people would complain about like, well, no, it did come down to you couldn't get it, and now that you have something that's easy, you don't want to give your beat stick up like everybody else had to give theirs up. Exactly.
So, and hey, I mean, that's always going to happen, right? You're always going to have people like, I like hand cannons, and then people are like, but I like auto rifles, but I like pulse. Well, why can't scouts ever be useful? So
I don't think scouts ever will be useful.
I mean, they did have like sort of a season of the scout rifle when they gave us Symmetry, and Randy's was the season before, and Randy's is still pretty good.
Yeah, Randy's, and then Mida, like way back in the day.
Mida is still with the it's still just wrecking if you know how to use it right.
Right. Yeah, I don't really understand where they're going with sunsetting right now, and we haven't really gotten a better answer or projection on it. So that is something that really worries me, because if next season, if it's just the same thing they did this season, I'm really worried about it. Because if we're grinding for the same guns again and the same armor from forever ago, just with different perks and stuff, it's going to be hard to get people to opt in on that. We're not going to notice it.
I don't think we're going to notice it as heavily immediately with, a full DLC. When we're really going to notice it is going into Season 13. Because if we look at, say, the season of the Worthy, right?
Yeah.
They literally said that, and this was, pre-pandemic. This was everybody working from home. I mean, we were getting there, but this was before the shit hit the fan, proverbially. They said that they couldn't do ritual weapons because they did trials weapons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was a weird thing to say in the first place, but.
So you're trying to sell me in the same season that you don't have like a full suite of weapons and gear available to players, that you're going to be able to keep up with the demand for new weapons while sunsetting weapons. And then in the next season, you just bring back a bunch of old weapons and say, "Hey, here's your new weapons." Like, what?
Yeah.
What? We haven't even talked about sunsetting armor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's even more worrisome. And
that's actually
have great opinions.
That's a bigger problem, I think, in the end.
No, and the reason it's way worse is because transmog. Transmog is actually going to be worse than what you think, and nobody's talking about it because it's going to be tied to the cash shop.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
they've already said
that
it.
Opinion, Joker.
That's not an opinion. That's a fact.
No. But I mean, like, your thoughts on it.
So
I haven't actually heard that, so tell me more.
Oh, okay. So in one of the things when they first announced transmog, they said that it would go through the cash shop, but there would be ways to earn the transmog tokens through gameplay.
As they always say.
Okay. So it's basically like the Bright Dust economy is now.
Yeah.
And so, but when you think about it, it's like, well, you'll grind for, say you have 0 Bright Dust, right? And you want to grind and whatever, so you got to grind all the bounties. Well, like a lot of these bounties and content's going away. So now they're like, well, we'll have other ways for you to get Bright Dust that aren't part of these bounties and yada yada through the pass and leveling up and stuff like that. And so it's like, well, how many of these tokens am I going to get? Are they going to be tied to the pass as well? So it's like, the end of the pass where it would usually have, say, armor ornaments. Is it just going to be an Eververse token to do transmog? They need to flesh it out, but right now, just knowing that it's tied to the cash shop and knowing that they're not going to be doing more legendary armor or legendary ornaments or stuff like that through this is replacing that essentially. Yeah. So it's going to be available through other gameplay means, but not so available that it's not profitable.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of lazy, and I don't mean to like harp on them or anything, but like when you think about it, it's the easiest thing that they could have done for like replacing the cash shop, because now they don't have to make cash shop stuff. I'm gonna want to get my armor back because I love the way my Titan chick looks in her armor, and they've yet to come out with a new set of armor that I like. You know, it's always hitting, especially with Titans. So it's one of those things like, of course, you've already got me, right? I already know I'm going to buy a handful of transmog tokens, right? It doesn't even matter how easy they are to get, because I already know I'm not going to waste the time. But yeah, I don't think the game has enough content to justify stuff like that, especially with the arm. Like, and then you got to be like, okay, well, I'm going to spend money to turn this into things, but now I got to run raids and dungeons and Nightfall. I got to regrind the same stuff I've been grinding for a year just to get on-level armor that has proper stats so I could do it again. Now, in this season, they have kind of shown if they continue with this model with the recaster, where you can go in and as you level it up, you can like select which discipline you want the stat boost in.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, like that's like, if people hadn't exploited it, they'd still be going through it, especially if you only play like one character. I'm not on the bottom line,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on the bottom line either. I really struggled to get through the game. I played so much last season. I played so much Crucible because I was at home that I kind of burned myself out a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's a negative from quarantine, is that I just don't really want to touch it.
Yeah.
A little bit. I've been playing other games.
I mean,
so I'm not on the bottom line.
I exploited it. I did. But that was more so to get to it faster, to give my thoughts on it, Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that I don't understand how awful it must be for, my clan mates and friends who are, didn't exploit it. And so they're struggling, and I'm trying to help them, but it's like it's just so
and it's
tiresome.
so weird because like I go and I'll play Final Fantasy 14, right? Or I'll
Yeah.
go and play Diablo back in the day, and those are loot grinding. I mean, Final Fantasy is an MMO, but Diablo's a loot grinder. I never felt like grinding for new gear was a chore in that game.
Yeah.
But in Destiny, like the proposition of grinding new armor, which should be like why I'm playing the game, is just like a no sell. Like I'm just like chores again.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'm gonna get what I want. Like even with the armor engram, like you could be doing when you get to that point, if you could do like the resilience armor engram, and then you click it, and you did all this work to get the currency and all that, and then you click it, and you're like, oh,
and then it's a 45.
No. Yeah, and you got like a chest piece, and you're like, I need a helmet, and you're just like, oh my God. It's brutal because like it is good that they introduced these changes, but it still just doesn't feel like it's enough because then it just makes you even more like tiresome because it's like, oh, another chest piece, another chest piece. And, everybody always brings up back in Destiny 1 when you could choose an armor engram or a weapon engram. And that was nice. But like, I still think there needs to be a change where it's like, I need a chest piece. Like, I really, really, really need a chest piece. So today I can play Strike playlist, and at the end of the 3 strikes, I can get a chest piece.
Right. Well, I've always said they should have like an option where if you like as you're leveling up, and this is something that they could have where you level up and you grind, and you can like focus what your drops are. So like say you're going after a certain hand cannon or whatever, or you want gauntlets or you want boots or whatever.
Kind of like menagerie.
And then you like as you level up this kind of back end thing, I don't know what you'd call it, but you can like click, hey, if I run strikes, I want like 5 out of 5 drops to be chest pieces.
Yeah. Kind of like the menagerie.
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah.
Menagerie totally changed it for everybody because you could choose the armor piece and the specific weapon and the specific perks on the weapon and the masterwork on the weapon. And I love that. Like,
it was awesome.
Especially
that
when
should
you
just
could
be something baked into the background of the game.
It really does. Like honestly, if they said no, you have to regrind this thing that you put tokens into, and you only get tokens by just playing the game. But if that meant I could get a chess piece that had like a high resilience on it for my warlock, then I would do that.
Yeah, the menagerie is one of those like weird things where it's like when it first came out, you're like, oh man, another horde mode. Okay, but then like it's one of those things that's just better retroactively. Like we didn't know what we had when it first came out, type thing.
And then we got all these other changes like Seraph Towers and all that.
Yeah,
and like, oh God.
Like, oh no, it actually got worse. We had it better with Season of Opulence. How did it come to this? And then they had
back to that.
Yeah,
I love the menagerie because it scratched that raid itch that I have, but I don't have the time or the inclination to get a raid group together, and I hate LFGs because they're so hit or miss, especially when they hear a girl speaking.
And they're so toxic. I have a lot of female members in my clan, and LFGing is so awful for them sometimes because all you have to do is like, you hear a girl speak, and then a bunch of the people in the party will be like, oh, is that a girl? Oh my God, a girl! And you're like, guys.
Every time.
I've sent this message to my clan where I've said, guys, if I hear anything about any kind of weird conduct or comments or anything, you're gone. I'm not going to tolerate this because I have a lot of female members in my clan, and it reflects on me to run it correctly and make sure this isn't happening. And so I'm glad that my clan members can come to me about that. But it's so true in LFGs. And even LFGs can be very toxic. Like I've had great ones, but I've also had ones where it's like, oh, you must have 40 clears on Garden of Salvation. You're like, dude.
Oh my God. No.
Like
what I love
for me to learn it.
I
must
love
have Mountaintop and Recluse.
Yeah, right.
I love the must have like 20 clears, and then you go to like the Raid Finder app to like look at their like clears, and they've had like 2 clears. They're like must have Mountaintop, Recluse, 40 plus clears, Emblem, will be checking, and then you go and check them, and they've like never played it.
Yeah, and I love the whole. You're so right with the Recluse thing because I've slowly phased Recluse out of my loadout just because I don't want to get any more attached to it because I know it's going to be dog shit later.
I deleted my Recluse.
Oh, you really went that far? I mean,
yeah, I had over 100,000 kills on it, and I deleted it.
Well, I don't know if I could do that.
Oh, dude, my entire vault I had like a bunch of cool stuff. I have God rolled off stringers. I'd got the God rolled beloved. I had the beloved. I had the Arantel. Yeah, I had an Arantel with like 12,000 kills on it.
That's gross, by the
and
way.
I went and I did a stream, and I was just like, okay, I'm using Ace of Spades and Fellwinners, and deleted everything.
I understand that though. I did that too. It was really hard, but if it's not from this season, I was like, delete. I had to do it, and it felt horrible. Like if anybody saw that video that Cammy, I believe it was Cammy Cakes who did it, and
when he was like the Tatara's gaze.
Yeah, it's Tatara gaze. That was very depressing to watch because you could see in his eyes he was like, I grinded so hard for this gun.
And then fucking Cosmo was like, that's not what we meant when we said sunsetting. And it's like, well, what did you mean? Well, we actually just meant you can't use it in any content that's going to be worthwhile using it into.
Yeah.
And
so that means that you might as well delete it.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. And this is when everybody's like, oh, but you'll still be able to use it in PvP and like strike. You won't be able to use it in 10% of the content. No, you don't get it. People want to get good and consistent with a weapon. They want a weapon that they know the feel. If I like equip Thorn and I like do the sticks this way, that way, and I fire, I'm going to know the rate of fire, the pattern of fire. I'm going to know the recoil. I'm going to know the bullet spread. Mm-hmm. I'm going to learn that intrinsically. It's going to be a muscle memory. Same thing, actually, probably more with snipers or shotguns, the way that you move with them. How long, like if I use my Fellwinner's Lie over and over and over again, and I get used to that, I know the range, I know the distance, I know how far I need to slide. Yep. I know like when it's my fault that I screwed up and didn't get to it, or, people don't understand that. I guess maybe they don't play enough, or maybe they're not attached to the weapons. Maybe they like switching things up, so they've never gotten into that mindset. For any various reasons, whatever. But you're not going to play at high-end competitive levels with stuff that you're not used to using, that you don't have that memory with, especially in something like Trials. Why would I play hours upon hours of Crucible and then not be able to use the weapons that I've been practicing with in Trials?
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think people understand for Cammy, people like Cammy, where it's, the average player, no offense to the average player, they just don't get it. Where it's like... Yeah, I mean, like with Cammy got that gun just for Trials. That's what he used it for. So if he can't use it in there anymore, why have it take up space? But it still sucks for him because it's like I spent every time he sees that gun and the title of the gun, he's gonna think I spent so much time on that, and Bungie just went, nope, it's not good anymore. Why would he use that?
100 hours grinding this,
Yeah. Why would he use that in normal Crucible and remind himself how much he loved it and how much time he spent on it? And then he goes to do a Trials group and he's like, well, can't use that. Put that in the vault. Like, it's just, I don't think people understand, that a lot of people, and it's not just streamers, but like a lot of people spend a lot of time for this gun with this, for this
even less than streamers, like, Orchid was talking about earlier. She's like, I went and I played my ass off. I grinded through and I got my Not Forgotten. Yeah. And now it's gone.
Yeah. So why keep it? Why keep it? Why keep Recluse if I can't use it like where I want to use it?
Why I deleted it actually, because it's not that I've been crutching it. It's just I really enjoy that gun. I know it. Like, and I don't know. I get like sentimental about shit.
No, yeah, same here.
I don't know why. But there's just some guns, just like my freaking prosecutor from year one.
I feel you on that.
It's just an auto rifle, but I have it in like
feels great.
I have it in all 3 singes because you could do that in year one. And so I have a lot of guns that I have all 3 singes on that I still pull out and I will still level them up because I'm like, I need a Void auto rifle and I don't want to use Gnawing Hunger because I don't like how it sounds. It sounds like a fart gun. I hate how it sounds. That and Misfit.
Same thing with Suros, man. Suros is like flicking a tin can over and over and over. I don't like it.
Certain guns just sound like garbage and it really, really triggers me.
I don't like it. And
I understand your thoughts on that. I miss Prosecutor so much. And, that would have been one thing if they brought Prosecutor back this season in the Engrams. I would have been like, okay, that's a gun that has been good for a while. I would have been like, okay, it's a gun we've gotten before, but we haven't gotten it in a very long time. I would have been totally cool with that. But it's like Gnawing Hunger. That was introduced not that long ago, and people have God rolls of it. So why would you even bother? Like,
and the God roll's the same. That's the best part. The god roll is the exact same, and it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
I already have the god roll
icon.
gun.
Yeah.
Like I don't need it again. I already have it.
It's just so incredibly frustrating.
I think that's the demoralizing thing is when you have the god roll, and then like you can't use it because arbitrary decision,
logo
and
change.
you have to go like get the new one. You know?
Yeah. It's something that I just don't fully understand, and obviously, like you said, we're not going to feel it until a couple months from now.
We're not going to feel it until spring, when the power is, because you can still use stuff that is
next season. You'll be able to use it.
That's 50 points below you, and it doesn't really hinder you all that much.
Yeah.
Right.
But when stuff is 200, when stuff is 200 light levels below where you need to be, like that's really gonna hurt you.
Yeah, I think we're gonna really we're gonna feel it spring, and then also I think we'll start seeing people like me who tend to be a little early on these things, bitching about it in the end of December, start of January. It's like this is what I told you would happen, and then like it's gonna be till spring when everybody finally goes, yup, this is exactly yup.
It's like they gave us Death Adder, which is just recluse at home, is what that is.
Yeah.
And so using it, I'm like, okay, I know this gun. Like also another reason why I felt okay deleting recluse.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually have like a callus mini tool that I really like. In like submachine gun wise, yeah, I know.
I know.
I really like that gun a lot.
Man. I got
Ostringer's really good.
The god roll max range, with what was it? It didn't have any damage perks, but I remember it was the max range one with I think it had a full bore or small bore. That was the one that I wanted because it added stability, and because this was after they nerfed hand cannons range.
Yeah,
stupid, but. Details, especially with auto rifle range being what it is. I'm not gonna let that go. And then so it's like, okay, I put in like weeks to grind this. Same thing with Waking Vigil.
Oh yeah,
I got a really good god rolled Waking Vigil, and now it's just gone, dude.
Yeah, hours and let's not forget that some of these guns are incredibly sexy and unique, and and we're not getting stuff like that, again for a while, and that sucks because like Offstringer, Waking Vigil, super unique looking gun, Callus mini tool, unique looking gun, and we're losing all these guns, and it doesn't feel like we're going to be getting stuff like that for a while. And also armor, it just feels like there's not enough being changed in the future that's going to make it feel okay, and it just feels like we're taking a step back. And
the only argument that I hear that is like you have to take people's things away or they won't stop using them. It's like the worst. Well, the logic behind that is, well, if you want to complain about Crucible always being like, everybody having god rolls, well, you have to take their god rolls away from them and make them regrind them so that we can balance Crucible. Argument. It's such, but that's like a version of that. I always hear something like it.
Yeah, and
it's like if that's the best argument you have. To do this or to like make us rerun the loot merry-go-round or whatever, that's the hamster wheel. That's not good enough.
Yeah,
it's not good enough, and it's especially for armor. Like I do Pit of Heresy. I help people get through it. That's like I do dungeons. That's the thing I do. So I finally have like all of my armor has been masterworked. Like I have all the armor I want for every activity that I want to do, and I worked hard for it, and I grinded for it.
Not talk about masterworking armor.
Masterworking armor is expensive.
That's a very important conversation to have.
Masterworking armor is so expensive now.
It's like ridiculously expensive.
After they took away our, fool me once, shame on me. Like,
how about the solstice armor that gets screwed every week year. After?
As sexy as that armor is, and for some reason they keep leaving it behind, and it doesn't make any sense.
Just give me the glows and let me put it on any armor I want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All I want is to be neon. That's all I want.
Yeah, I mean. It's a very fair
ornaments like this thing that we've had for armor for.
I know.
I'm spitballing here, guys.
Yeah. Why not just introduce it into the ornament collection pool? But that's crazy talk.
They could have done that, and honestly, they could have done that instead for year 3. Instead, they're like, oh well, we'll give you new armor. Like, bitch, just give us the ornaments, that we could just look awesome all the time.
Here's the thing. Yeah. No, okay, so you're gonna give us new armor. Great, wonderful. Okay, fine, whatever. I don't care. I'm gonna have to grind stats.
Yep.
In a short amount of time. Yeah, so we've got an extended, but originally it was a short amount of time.
And don't forget the requirements for each piece.
And then you got to do all the requirements for each piece. And I'm going to be honest.
Well, I don't think they're extending Solstice. I think that's still 3 weeks.
Is that? Oh,
yeah,
geez.
They haven't changed it.
We have no knowledge yet, as of yet. As of yet of this podcast.
Well, I thought they said they were starting it in 2 weeks.
It starts the 11th of August.
Yeah. And they have not said anything as of yet about extending Solstice, which is a little puzzling.
I
this
would
would be
rather
the perfect
have
time to let us
extra
know.
time to grind my pretty armor. Honestly, half the reason I play this game is because I want to look good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am one of the few Fashion Emblem winners.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations. I'm very jealous.
Thank you. I won at Christmas by accident, I think. They just retweeted me, and I'm like, why is my phone blowing up? Oh, awesome.
I think you're totally right. I think a lot of Guardians are very, very picky. Look,
I'm
it's
about
the old saying of like, if I look good, I do good. If I look good, I feel good. If I feel good, I do good.
I agree. No, okay. I cannot play Halo. I'm not even joking. Until I unlock the EVA helmet, or I'm gonna play like a potato. There's something psychologically broken in my head that just links that. It was like the hardest thing for me to find a setup in Destiny. That's why I used Skull for it, because it's kind of that same thing. Yeah. But like if I'm not wearing that gear, something in my brain just goes, nope, you're not on Cloud 9 right now. You're not yourself. Yeah.
I refuse to play the Reach campaign on Master Chief Collection until
I don't have my armor
I want. Because I'll look at my character and be like, no, stop. But it's so true. And that's why these changes are worrisome to me, because I know people make fun of like, oh, you really care about what your Guardian looks like? Mine looks like trash. I don't care. And I'm like, yeah, I totally care what my Guardian looks like. If I have to stare at them all day.
I have on it. I care about what my armor looks like. I care about my emblem. Like, I care about what my ship looks like.
Especially in a game like this. Like,
I care about using mini scoots for my like.
But it's a very fair point. And also, can all sparrows just have instant spawn like automatically?
Oh my god! Why? Same thing with ghosts. Why are there like all these perks in the ghost and sparrow pool that nobody's ever going to use?
Yeah.
Why I don't need Titan whatever finder after this season. So
yeah. Like,
I'm just gonna delete all those ghosts too.
And it would be such an easy change for them, but it's because they want us to. And it's like, look, I'm gonna buy that ghost from Eververse because I think it looks cool, but not if it has terrible freaking perks on it. Like, please, just why is this such a hard thing to put together? Like, I don't understand why it's been going on for so long.
And this kind of goes back to Destiny 1, even though Grave Robber's actually kind of cool now. But like Grave Robber in Destiny 1 was so stupid.
Yeah.
And there's just a bunch of perks. It was like and it goes back to that Magic the Gathering, card game, Yu-Gi-Oh! Mentality where, for every, booster box that you buy that has 2 super ultimate platinum legendary whatevers, you've got to have, 500 cards that suck.
Yeah. Understandable. You got to have a perk on the gun that drops and you're like, ugh, delete.
Destiny doesn't have enough gear or perks to really justify that at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a very fair point.
I don't know. If we can
still feels lacking.
If we can pick what goes on our armor, let's say, and we can pick sort of what perks we get on our weapons, then I don't see why we can't just like put something into our ghosts to just like use that as an ornament.
I remember when there was
cat ghost all the time because I like cat ghost. I like rabbit ghost. Like, I wanted to use a cute ghost too, and I can't.
Yeah, and
I like my little lion ghost where it's like,
I like the lion ghost
from the Titan thing.
That's
so cool.
I had that on my warlock and my warlock ghost on my Titan. It was very confusing.
I remember when there was a glitch on the Destiny app, and you could switch.
And you could just make it. Yes.
And I was like, oh, quick before they nerf that. And I'm like. And this is a fair point of like whenever it benefits the player, Bungie's like, oh, we gotta nerf that, And it was
are we gonna get into that?
Let's get into that. let's get into this TWAB. All right, I remember. So today, the TWAB, the Bungie nerfed the Leviathan exotic farm for some reason, and Glad tweeted out, also, I do not agree with the Leviathan exotic farm nerf. Seems unnecessary, especially with such a long season. This was just another thing to do while in this awkward waiting period. Why give us toys but then immediately take them away? Not everyone can farm Grandmasters. And a lot of streamers were saying they have apathy towards Grandmaster farming. It's not fun. Not everybody can do it.
Nope.
So,
I can't.
thoughts? Let's hear the thoughts on this.
So, no, this, like, look at this season. And it's, look at everything that's gotten, so we had, at the beginning of the season, we had the engram, like, where you could go into the forges and you could AFK farm. Did that need to be fixed? Yes. Okay. You're not going to win me over on that not needing to be fixed, but at the same time, who is it hurting? And is there more stuff that needs to be, done in the game? Is there other broken things that are actually broken, that are actually impacting the players, like, PvP and anti-cheat, that, yes, you know what? I'm going to admit that is a more complicated ask than what I'm just making it sound like, okay? Yes, fixing AFK farming is way easier than developing an anti-cheat. You're not going to get me to disagree with you on that. At the same time, when you fix the AFK farm, when you fix the Umbral decoder glitch, when you fix the ghost shell so that, like, you can't get more bright engrams or whatever from, like, year one, when you fix this exotic glitch, and then there's still, like, I have problems turning in that one mission from the weekly where it's like the wavelength. Sometimes it just won't turn in. Like, it just glitches.
I have the same.
So you have all these things that are broken, and I understand that fixing something that is broken is going to be hard. Don't fix things that are not broken, that are helping players. Well, there's already so much wrong. It's just bad optics.
That's why I don't understand, why it took so long to fix One-Eyed Mask. But this change, which really doesn't impact the game at all, it's not like it's screwing over people in PvP or something. People are just doing it to farm for, like, stat rolls. And Bungie immediately jumped on it. And this is a recurring thing that keeps happening. And it just doesn't make any sense.
And I think it's an optics thing, right? I think we notice it more because it is something that helps the players. They do have patch lists, and this is me defending Bungie, right? They do have patch lists that do tend to be extensive and yada yada yada. But at the same time, sometimes, man, just let your dogs eat, dude.
Just leave it alone for a little bit. What about you? What do you think, Orchid?
It reminds me of, like, time and time again, Bungie has said, and I've seen comments like this on Twitter as well and on Reddit. It's like, play the way you want. Like, play the game the way you want. Get out of it what you want to get out of it. And it's like when we had the chest glitch in Menagerie when that first came out. When people realized they could run out of the room and run back in. For people who are listening to this and didn't do Menagerie when it first came out, you were able to. You had 250 seconds or 300 seconds or something at the end, and it was crazy. And it was the whole point, I think it was to find that there is lore buried in the Menagerie that you can get. And so it was a way for you to explore the area where Crown of Sorrows was and, like, really just kind of enjoy what they've created for us and not worry about being immediately kicked to orbit. But people realized you could run out of the room and run back into the room and re-slot your chalice and then get another piece of armor or another weapon or whatever you wanted. So we could farm for the Austringer that we wanted, and it made it fun because I was like, oh man, okay, I'm going to do this. I could do it about 5 or 6 times before it would kick me back to orbit. And I got really good at knowing, like, exactly which ones to go in which slots. And especially when you leveled up your chalice all the way, it gave you all of your little your runes back at the end. So then you could just pop them back in and you didn't lose anything. And
then sometimes you get, like, 3 Austringer or something.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was so cool.
Yeah. And so it would just drop, like, so much loot. And so it was finally fun to go through something that did take 25 minutes to do. Like
Yeah.
it was not Menagerie is not a fast activity.
Yeah.
Like there are many steps to it, especially if you're not talking to people and you're loading in with randoms.
Yeah.
So, but that was a good example of Bungie going, "Oh no, we got to fix this."
For some reason.
And then no one wanted to do it after that because they nerfed it so much that the amount of time that you spend in it was not rewarding.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if they had like something where something dropped after every encounter, like a raid or something, maybe. But like going through, spending 25 minutes to half an hour, if not longer, if you got like a really bad team that was like failing the encounters.
Oh yeah.
Geez. And then just to get like one off stringer that's not even like good.
Not the perk you want. Yeah. It
Yeah.
doesn't even have one perk you want.
And now we're losing Leviathan. So we're losing Menagerie.
I'm really sad about that.
And they never changed the loot. They never changed the encounters. It just sat there collecting dust. And it's just let's talk
losing
about
bad juju too, because that's on Leviathan.
What'll happen is it'll be part of the like what the Cryptarch has.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I that's my thoughts. I don't know.
It probably is, yeah. No, it probably is.
I'm surprised they didn't do that with Fellwinter, because you can't get Fellwinter's life.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
I think they want to let it stew for a little bit and then bring it back later.
Yeah.
They'll put it in a loot pool.
Let's talk about losing destinations. I know Orchid has a very strong feeling about that. So let's talk about how we're losing destinations. For people who don't know, I'm looking at my director right now. We're losing Leviathan. We're losing
Titan.
Mercury, Titan.
And Mars.
But we're keeping Io. We're going to get the Cosmodrome. We're keeping Tangleshore and Dreaming City and the Moon. And we're still keeping the EDZ. And then Europa's going to be a big location, so they say. So what are your guys' opinions on losing locations? Orchid, do you want to start, Orchid?
Yeah, I have so many words to say about this.
Somebody stepped on her toe, man.
So my problem with it, I will say positively that I am excited to get the Cosmodrome back. I went in with my friend BK Spleens the other day because she had never gotten Risk Runner. She took a lot of time off of Destiny, and this was just a weapon that never dropped for her. So she had the Risk Runner quest, so we got to drop into the Cosmodrome, the small Cosmodrome that's there. And my friend Sam and I are just like running around, like killing the walkers and just like showing her like, yeah, we used to hide here. Like we used to do this over here. And she was just like having a lot of fun. And for us, it was fun to like show her an area that we truly enjoyed. And so I am happy that we are getting the Cosmodrome back. Like, and I understand the need to get rid of areas, especially Mercury, because no one goes. What's the point of Mercury?
They just blow
anyway?
it up already. Just blow it up.
Like,
I wonder if Mercury takes up more space than what we think it does, because the randomly, the procedurally generated areas.
Yeah.
That's got to be a lot of programming.
I really like the Infinite Forest. I have enjoyed Halloween. I enjoyed the Revelry last year. I loved the Revelry. I wish we did that again, but sadly no.
Yeah. But I mean, with the Infinite Forest, I just feel like they didn't work enough with it. I remember when Osiris was first coming out and they were talking about it's going to be randomly generated, and I was like, oh, are they going to like let us patrol in there, and like is it going to be crazy new? And then that never happened. But I mean,
I was hoping for like a kind of a horde mode sort of.
Yeah,
I know,
here.
and that's what I was hoping for. Like I'm
back
a
when
big
horde
Gears
mode
player.
coming out every other week.
Yeah. I'm a big Gears of War player, and I was like really hoping for a horde mode, like
a true horde mode.
Yeah, an actual horde mode, but unfortunately not. I think you're really losing part of the story, especially for the new players. So we were talking earlier about people coming in from Xbox because it'll be free, like free, actually free, and they won't ever get to experience the Red War, and that's kind of like the whole thing that brought Destiny to the whole thing that started it all. And so they're not going to have any context for Shadowkeep when they get there because they've never fought Gaul. Like they've never done a lot of these things now.
At least leave the missions in there to like at least let them play the mission so they have some sort of understanding.
Yeah. And that's kind of my argument. Like, leave the missions, like it's just so much work. Like, I know that it's like the
I don't
Disney
think
Vault,
they,
like it'll come back, but I don't think they're gonna bring it back.
Right.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're trying to build, and this is why I don't understand why they don't just let us pick and choose what we have installed, because it sounds like what they're doing is they're rebuilding the game essentially for the this release to be able to plug and play content. Because if they're like, let's think about this logistically. If they're going through and they're like every couple of years or whatever, every year or two, gutting entire portions of the game, you don't play Russian roulette with good code. Like stable, you don't. That's just stupid. So I have to imagine that they're rebuilding it for these things to be like separate entities, and so that they can plug them in and pull them out without destroying everything. At least that's what I hope, and that's what I'm thinking is probably caused this delay, is because now you've got people like doing build check-ins and stuff like that, and trying to like separate this code and that code, and now they're doing that from home, and I'm very sympathetic about that. But at the same time, like, Destiny 3, we could have just done that. Because here's the thing, our inventories, right? Well, one, we're sunsetting our inventories. So what does our inventory matter?
This is already Destiny 3, because they already destroyed our inventory at the end of Destiny 1. So,
not to mention the vault not being the vault from D1, where we could actually separate weapons, armor, and everything else. But whatever. I just love
getting
having
a little
salty just
salty
throw it
here.
in right
God.
there.
I was trying like benefit of doubt and like
But are you feeling positive, Joker, about this losing these locations, or are you negative about it?
So I'm negative on the premise of this is something people have paid for.
Yeah.
That's my biggest problem with it.
You don't, and yes, so people will be like, well, no, you're just buying a license. No, actually, you own digital goods, goods and services. And the reason that this has never really been a thing is because gaming lives in a very gray consumer area, because nobody's ever taken it to court.
Yeah.
However, if you took it to court in the US, you would win. Gaming companies don't want you to, because once you open that door, you open it up to regulation.
Yeah.
And that gaming has been able to fly by without, like, under the radar of regulation. But once you do it, that's one of the things that was like, I mean, we saw it with loot boxes, right?
Yeah.
Once the government started realizing, oh, hey, there's some money here, there's something we can regulate. Hold up, let's get ours, And that's why loot boxes became a thing, within government regulation. So they're like, we can regulate this like casinos.
Yeah.
And that's why gaming companies changed, and at least a lot of them changed their model. Now it's direct buy. You're not buying, a loot box. I think Overwatch still does loot boxes or whatever.
They do. Yeah.
But a lot of companies did move. I mean, we saw Destiny kind of future-proof their cash shop by moving to that. Now, we can all probably argue whether the cash shop is exorbitant in its pricing, but we kind of did this to us at this point.
We did.
Yeah.
Every time I see like people kitted out in the newest hunter gear with a ton of ornaments, and they're like, "Yeah, but this cash shop's taking away my loot from the game." Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's almost like you're paying them to do it.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a very fair point, and it's a very like double-edged sword. Because it's always the coolest stuff.
It, like, all the time, like year one of my channel. And then I got to the point where I'm like, oh, all the stuff's in the cash shop. Like I'll mention it like that. But like, as far as like trying to change the no, we're too far gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say positively about the cash shop, since we're talking about it. They did say that the ornaments from Whisper did help pay for 0 hour.
Mm-hmm.
How much that helped, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And to what extent, but they did come out and say just straight up, like, all of you that bought this, like, help support the development of the 0 hour mission.
Oh yeah,
and I thought that was kind of cool.
I mean, that's, in my opinion, that's kind of how all exotic quests should be, but that's definitely not feasible. But we should at least get like one, like, I'm not even saying every season, like every year we should at least get a 0 hour or something like that. Maybe have that be your big summer event where we go in, do a 0 hour type thing. But
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's frustrating because I would love to know just how much buying ornaments and whatnot on the cash shop really helps currently.
I
would
know
love
we
if they would
got
just
a
update us.
2019 digital sales, which
Yep.
is
Saw that
more the
figure.
cash shop than games being sold, because we don't actually know. This is one of those weird things. We don't know units sold digitally type things, but we can guesstimate revenue. And it was like 300 million in digital sales, and that's obviously not just the game. That's not just the DLC. That is large chunks of the cash shop.
Yeah.
So, and
But
I mean, you see it. You walk around and you see people with $40 worth of kit.
Yeah. And then they say certain things like, we just can't do this, or we can't make a ritual weapon. It's like, but you made $300 million. It is what it is, and they're always going to have an answer for it, and I've kind of just accepted it for what it is at this point, because it's never going to change now. It's too late, but
Yeah.
It is what it is. When it comes to losing locations, I agree with you definitely that we paid for it, especially players like us. We paid for it, and losing it sucks because people are gonna say like, oh, but you're not gonna. Why would you go to Titan? It's just like,
you're not going to Titan.
Like
well, why isn't Bungie giving me a reason to go to Titan?
Yeah, I wanted them to. I said from the beginning, let's have a raid on Titan. Let's have a strike on Titan.
Let's go fight deep in there. Free Willy down in Titan, dude.
Savathun's song is my favorite.
I love that strike. I wish they would have expanded it.
There's the mission where you go into the depths and you get the tank, right? And you're just like flying through there, and it's like and you're like killing Hive and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's so cool. Why didn't they do that stuff more like with that? Dude, imagine if that was a raid.
Oh
yeah, like that was the start of a raid.
What is it called? It's called the Festering Halls.
Yeah.
Why didn't we ever get a strike in the Festering Halls? You remember that mission, the initial mission, the ogre comes up and like, and you blow it up and you jump down the elevator shaft. Why didn't you expand that to allow us to do a strike down there? But it just feels like maybe, and I don't know, maybe they are having these thoughts right now, and that's why they're doing this. Like,
they want to pull it
we
back
should have
so
done that
and develop more to it. Yeah, I can see that.
And I wish they would just tell us that, because if
I think what ultimately
I would love to be like, okay.
And this is one of those things whether we like it or not, where a game like Final Fantasy 14 can like keep updating, where we got Shadowbringers, we got there's a patch that's supposed to be, I don't know if it came out already or if it's coming out in August, but it's going to be a huge patch. It's actually going to add a new section to the Nier raid.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're adding like entirely new gameplay. It's going to have new story. It's going to be all free. I mean, it's a subscription MMO, so free is relative. Same thing with games. Free, but you get your value out of it, is what I'm saying. So what I think is going on is where that game is beautiful, but it's like low texture. Like you look at character texture, it's low texture. And it's still like only like 50 gig or something for an MMO that is massive as Final Fantasy 14 is. But then you have like Destiny, and it's like 100 there and about, So, and for our boxes, that's nothing. When we download it, sure, it's going to take 20, 30 minutes to download and update, whatever, to download DLC. For them, if we go back to like the Jason Schreier article from way back with Destiny 1, where it's like they're going in on the engine and they're compiling things, and sometimes a build to move a power ammo box, right? You open it, it takes like an hour to open, 2 hours to open. You do the move, it takes like 10 minutes to compile the move, and then you have to recompile the build all the way back together and put it back into the game, and that's an overnight thing. And then while it's doing that, it can crash, like my brain just did. While I was trying to explain that. Yeah. So that's obviously a very real problem. So,
and now they're doing that from home as well.
Yeah. So I have to imagine that while that takes longer for them, so they have to push out their dates and stuff like that, because that all does add up, and I respect that. But that sounds more like a fix your fucking tools problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that sounds very unsympathetic when I put it that way, but like clearly you guys know the limitations of your tools. You know how long it's going to take to do something. You know what can happen. And so you can budget your time and, the way that you're developing the game accordingly. You know how long it's going to take to do this.
Mhm.
Even if you screw up and you plan for screw ups and stuff like that, you know how long. So that's a management thing at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think that's a very fair point. It's also been like this since Destiny 1. They knew.
Yeah,
that
that's the other thing. That's why I
very
said they know we have half a decade of doing this, and actually
Mhm.
probably a decade for them because they remember they had
Probably.
to build Destiny 1.
Mhm.
So they have a decade of working on this engine, so they know exactly how things are going to work and what's not going to work. And so
Yeah.
I get it, and I get taking these locations out is going to be good for them. What I'm actually worried about is the locations coming back. The
Right.
Cosmic Throne, the Vault of Glass, because to me that reeks of we couldn't make enough content.
Right.
Like if we step back from the I'm excited to go play Vault of Glass, and I have a theory that the entrance to Vault of Glass is going to be on, Europa.
Uh-huh.
So there's some Vex stuff, and I was like, well, they're not bringing back Venus, so how are we going to do the intro thing where you open up the portal and stuff?
I was hoping they'd
gonna...
bring back Venus and
I
just not
love
tell
Venus. I love Venus so much.
Because Venus has the Vault of Glass, you could access the whole social space.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be cool if they just brought back Venus, right? And you launch it from the Cosmodrome or something,
Mhm.
But then you go to the Cosmodrome and it's like, well, what are they going to add to that? Well, then you hear that, well, they're bringing back the Saber Strike, they're bringing back the Omnigul Strike. Oh, why?
So, why?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
We've
why?
done that already.
So we have a problem with content being uploaded in the game. So let's bring back all this old content.
And that'll satiate
That's my
everybody's
problem with the whole
demand.
thing. Yeah, is that they're bringing back old weapons, they're bringing back old locations, they're bringing back old strikes and old raids that I don't even think Destiny 1 players are even half the population anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But when half your player base has already done these things, we'll do it one time for nostalgia, but am I gonna grind Vault of Glass like I played so much in D1? No.
Yeah, especially
that.
if we don't even know if the ornaments are going to come back, and I don't want to hear it from people. The Vault of Glass default armor was kind of basic, you know.
Well, I'm looking forward to those Kavar shoulder pads because those are on the Titan, because they'll be the only ones that are actually normal shoulder pads.
I do miss the Hunter helmet, the Vex helmet, but other than that, it's I'm not gonna grind that raid like crazy.
No, exactly.
Why would I?
Again, if they do the bullshit, and it was bullshit in my opinion, back in Destiny 1 where they had the Age of Triumph where they made the primaries exotics.
Yeah.
You can't do that again. I'm sorry. Fatebringer as an exotic in Destiny 2, no one's
gonna use it. I mean, it's not gonna be
good
that
enough.
unique.
And I don't think it's gonna be that good.
Add to it that make it an exotic.
Not to mention, Firefly isn't a perk anymore.
Nope.
Right.
So
well,
I'm really confused.
Firefly.
Well,
so
besides Ace of Spades, so it's and if they bring Firefly back as just for Fatebringer, that'll be interesting. I mean, I miss Firefly, even though it wasn't the greatest perk. It was fun, but.
Well, that's why I can see them making an exotic, giving it Firefly.
Yeah, that I can see, but I'm also if they bring back Fatebringer, but then that means it's gonna get sunset. People aren't gonna like that.
Yeah, I'm grinding out Vault of Glass weapons again and Vault of Glass armor again,
and then it's going to be taken a year again, where it's going to be sunset
again.
Yeah. So that's something that I'm worried about, which is why I always say the same thing about Galahorn. Don't bring it back, because if you sunset it or if it gets nerfed, people are going to be really pissed. So avoid the problem already by not doing that,
I wonder if they bring back Crota's End as a dungeon.
If they add some changes to it, I'd be okay. Maybe try to make it a little bit longer.
Well, that's why it's a dungeon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as a dungeon, I think it'd be fine. I mean, I always wished Crota had one more boss.
You could 3-man it.
You could definitely 3-man it. Oh, that'd be fun. I mean, just for the nostalgia. But again, I think it's the same issue that you're saying. I'll do it once for nostalgia.
Yeah, I'll do it once for nostalgia, but I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm still burnt out from Age of Triumph of going back doing all the raids, way back in the day. I'm I got my fill then.
I think it's funny that you see it on YouTube all the time. People are going back to Destiny 1. I'm like, but why? You've already done that
I'll
stuff.
play
a
PvP.
million
I will
times.
play the shit out of Destiny 1
PvP,
PvP
yes.
because it's better balanced. But
People go back every week to do the raids, and I'm
I
like,
like Rift.
Rift, I wish was back.
Yes, I wish. How do we have less PvP game type options in Destiny 2 than we do in 1? I just don't.
Yeah.
And they also have ones that people never play.
Yeah.
Like they have like Breakout or whatever it is. So I'm not gonna play that.
Breakout was like farmable or something. It was like poorly designed. The matches
until they fixed it, and then it's like that mode takes forever. It's not fun. I still think Control takes too long. In Clash, I think Clash should be 75 kills. Clash, I think, should just be 75 kills. Quick, simple, right to the point. I just think sometimes it can go too long. And then I'm sitting there looking at the clock, and I'm like, geez, how long have I been in this match?
Oh, yeah, when you get those half-an-hour games, and it's just like... Or when you're getting those kind of pub-stompy games, but it's not far enough away to Mercy Rule.
Yeah.
And you're on the receiving end of it.
And you're just getting so exhausted. You're like, oh...
That is
it's like 90 to 30, but it needs to be 90 to 20 to Mercy or something.
I know.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there like, please, Shags, Mercy us.
70 to 30,
that's so mentally defeating.
I definitely understand that. Now, we've all seen the Beyond Light reveal from back in the day, and then we got the Xbox reveal, and Beyond Light was briefly on that for like 10 seconds. What do you guys think?
They had a better showing than Halo.
I think that's
changed my mind.
No, I'm not going to because it's accurate.
I'm so mad.
I literally was watching it with my brother, and I watched it, and the Halo reveal ended, and I was like,
that's it.
I don't know how I feel about that. Like, it's like...
Yeah, I still haven't done my impressions of Halo.
My PlayStation work friend he's like, oh yeah, I totally watched it. Why does Halo look like garbage?
Yeah, right? The constant, like, Minecraft. What?
It does. When
you saw my
pillars in the background, it does.
You saw my tweet, Joker, about the brute, and I was like, this is not a brute. This is not a brute. This is not a...
Yeah, where's his like fangs and his like
what
beard?
Are you doing in my
these mutton chop things going on back in the day?
Absolutely.
Like, Tartarus had like this Viking beard thing going on, and he's like, argh.
I love Tartarus, and I love that look for the anniversary version. That
even like Atriox, who is a badass looking.
Atriox looked amazing.
But like I think he would have looked even more intimidating had he had the brute fangs like they did in Halo 2.
That cutscene brute from the end of the reveal, that looked so unsettling and weird to me.
He was like detailed like the further away you got, but like up here, like right here specifically, it was like so rubbery and like no text. It was so weird. And like his teeth. Oh my god, his teeth were so janky. I mean, they were like supposed to look, but I mean like Uncanny Valley, like poorly textured janky.
And the writing. His speech was so cringe.
I loved his speech. Okay,
I didn't like it that much. I didn't like it that much. I just felt a little cringe. I didn't hate it.
I think that was the point though.
Yeah.
Halo characters like tend to be kind of cartoonish.
Yeah, I mean, when Tartarus betrays the Arbiter and he's like, and I, Tartarus, chieftain of the
yeah, he's like,
send you to it. And you're like,
or when he's like,
Arbiter knows you're the chieftain.
Johnson's like, hey, put the Oracle down, and Tartarus is like shaking him because it's like revealing what the Halos are, and then he just literally yeets him at 2 or 3 guilty spark at Johnson.
Yeah. It was interesting reveal. There was some cool stuff, some weird stuff, that Warthog does not sound like a Warthog to me. Drives like a Warthog. Doesn't sound like a Warthog.
It didn't immediately become unusable after running over a suicide grunt. So I'm like okay with that because the vehicles from Reach forward to Reach to 5, man, have just been terrible. Like they just fall apart, and it's because people in Halo 3 were just running around big team battle maps.
They are sparrows. They are just sparrows that look different. That's all they are.
But like, I mean, come on, dude. That's why we're playing big team battle.
Yeah. What did you think of that, Orchid? What did you think of the reveal? Let's divert for 2 seconds just to talk about that because it's such a big deal, and a lot of Destiny players have big feelings about that too.
I don't know. I'm like one of the few Destiny players that doesn't have big feels about it. I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah. As we all are, probably.
I was really looking forward to it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us, if not the majority of us, came from Halo.
Mm-hmm.
And that just that was our childhood. That's what we grew up with. That's like what we've known. A lot of us as gamers, like that Halo could have been like the first game a lot of us played.
Mm-hmm.
So
open world. When they said that during the reveal, I was like, what? Open world?
Now,
I was like,
here's my thing.
Interesting.
If it's, let's say, because Destiny, let's be honest, as a finished game, but I mean, it's also been out for 5 years. Destiny 2 is not the most graphically impressive game. It has its moments. Its vistas, its skyboxes, its vignettes are really nice, right? But if you look at a texture on a ground or something, it's not there.
Yeah.
So if Halo Infinite is as open world as, say, something like Destiny, where they plan to expand it over the future, and they're, maybe it's getting a little bit of a graphic downgrade because they don't want to do the, in 5 years, we got to gut half the game.
Right.
Then I can see an argument for the graphical fidelity. Also, it's supposed to be a build from January or something, which at that point, the show literally should have opened with, this is pre-alpha footage.
Yeah.
Still in development. And
could have
I
avoided
think it
a lot of drama.
A lot more well for them.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they would have shown it like back in December, even.
Yeah. But I also think it's funny because everyone made the meme of, wait, Master Chief's fighting the Cabal? That's interesting.
Yeah, we've stepped into a war with the Cabal on Halo. Well, let's get to taking out their command.
Yeah, I mean, I like the dynamic between Chief and the pilot engineer guy. I love that dynamic. That's very good. Yeah, I like that. That was great. But
he's cribbing off your beard, man. You've got the
right?
beard, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is quarantine beard, and I like it where it's going.
I'm hitting it, dude.
It's a good look. I dig it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I'm working very hard by doing nothing.
I like beards. Like,
well, I appreciate it. It's. I just got a haircut. I had quarantine haircut, and that was horrendous. But don't worry, I'm not shaving this beard, folks. This is my thing. So, tattoos and beards. That's my thing.
So I'm trying to do the beard thing. I just started like 2 weeks ago. I think it's like.
Hey, it's looking pretty good for 2 weeks. That's actually pretty good.
That actually does look pretty good for 2 weeks. I'm trying to grow a beard too, but it's not working.
I'll send you some stuff, Joker, to help you out with that.
So.
I just need to know more about the story, personally. I really need to know where Cortana comes into this. I still do not like what they did.
If you have like 3 hours, I got theories.
I mean, we could do that off.
I'm more of a Halo. I'm a huge Destiny lore nerd. I don't think anybody's going to argue that if you listen to my deep theories and
I'll back you up
lore stuff. It's kind of like I'm going to use a really weird analogy here. When Alexander the Great gave his speech about when all his men were like, well, we want to go back to home and yada, yada, yada. And he's like talking about all the stuff that his father gave them.
Yeah.
Like, that's my knowledge of Destiny.
Yeah.
What's more is like what Alexander the Great, that's my knowledge of Halo. But that only becomes from like, Halo has books.
Yeah. Great books too.
Most of them are.
Most of them. The Fall of Reach gets me in the feels.
Dude, Ghost of Onyx. I just did the
underrated book. Not enough people have read that. Even the Forerunner trilogy wasn't bad.
I think Ghost of Onyx was the one. It came out around or just before Halo 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have like the Fall of Reach, which is kind of like the recommended reading that everybody starts with.
First Light was pretty good.
Yeah.
The Flood was ahead of
the Flood was great when it wasn't like reliving the video game.
Yeah.
Because then it's like Master Chief sat there for like 10 hours and took a nap and ate MREs and like took a shower. And I'm like, wait, when did this happen and how did he get out of his armor?
Right. Because I was playing this and I don't remember that.
I don't remember taking a nap.
Yeah, right. I just need to know more about the story. I still think that Halo 4 was a fine ending for Cortana. It was fine. And then Halo 5 happened. The marketing was a lie.
I cried so hard when
I actually got emotional. I was watching it a couple days ago to refresh my memory, and I started almost crying. I was like, it was done it wasn't the best Halo, but it was a fine ending for her, and I really liked it. And then Halo 5 happened, and I have a lot of feelings about that we won't talk about right now.
Kind of going back to like Halo 4, though, like a lot of people claim, well, it's like the button press simulator or whatever, because you're going around. But I'm like, what? Like, not to like sound like I'm defending bad game design, but like when you think about like the realistic thing, you would be going around pressing buttons on a Forerunner construct. Is it the most fun thing? No, but it gets the job. They got put in a really awkward position where Bungie had the end of Halo 3 and they had to do something to get from point A to point B. The best thing they could have done? Well, I mean, we're pressing buttons in this game. Halo 1 had you literally just walking in and having your shields fried. So it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. I think,
but people don't want that conversation.
I don't think, 4 was better than people say it was. I still think I enjoyed the story. Cycle. Yeah, I liked the story for what it was. I loved the didact. I was so hyped to finally see him, and that was really fun.
You're kind of seeing it now. People hate Halo Infinite, right? It's not even out. People hate it. And then people are like, yeah, but like Halo 5, yeah, okay, the campaign was terrible, but like the multiplayer was hyper competitive.
It's all coming around full circle.
It's all coming around. And then Halo 4 was way better than we remembered it. Had a great story. The multiplayer was serviceable.
The environment looked really good.
And then so it's like, but it was like Halo 4 sucked when it came out, and then it was retroactively better when we got 5, and then 5 sucked, and now that we got Infinite, 5 isn't as bad as we remember it, and Halo 4 was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you see it in Destiny too. So.
Oh yeah. Well, no. I think there's legitimate argument for Season of Opulence is like okay, like it could be better, and then you get to Season of the Worthy or Season of Arrivals, and you're like, oh no, I didn't know what I had. Hold on, go back.
Agreed. I know people love his armor in this one. I still think the Halo 4 and 5 armor looked really good. I think he looked more like a super soldier with that armor.
Yeah.
The diaper joke of this armor,
Space diaper.
I don't like that 117.
So you know what the armor is based off of, right? Halo Legends.
Okay.
If you go and look at the Halo, I think it's called Halo Legends or whatever. It's when they took all the anime studios. Okay. And they had them make their swords.
Yeah.
And it's from the package one, the one where like Halsey is like hot and like she looks like Cortana.
Yeah.
And then for some reason she's on a Covenant ship.
Based off of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what it's the exact same armor.
I mean, I like the armor still. It's still. And then it still looks good. I just don't like that 117.
If you watch Forward Unto Dawn, it's the same armor as well from that one.
I haven't seen that in a while. What do you think of the armor, Orchid? Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just like meh.
I still think the 4 armor looked really good.
She's just like, I just care about my like PvP Spartan because that's the one I get to customize.
Yes.
That is the most important one.
That's pretty much the most important one. That's
really
all I care about.
As a colorblind person, Halo has always been the bane of my existence because I always stay away from reds because I always think it's pink. And I'm like, I just don't believe anyone. They're like, Dimitri, that's red. And I'm like, no, it looks pink. Not wearing it. Looks pink. Nope. So I just stick with the greens, So we've covered that. The Beyond Light reveal happened. What did you think of this Beyond Light reveal with the new abilities that we've seen? I know Joker had a very strong opinion about PvP.
PvP is fun!
I mean, we don't know how they're going to be implemented in PvP yet.
Yeah.
But I like being able to build walls for your like gimpy blueberries who don't know how to do jump mechanics, so you can like help them along.
That's amazing.
If only we had that for like Whisper and 0 Hour, because my God, like the number of times I've tried to bring some friends through and they just like.
I just can't do it on my Warlock. I can't do it. I can't do it. That glide gets me killed all the time. I was really stunned by that. I was like, did that really just happen? I had my brother rewind it and we watched it again. And I was like, walls and freezing people. Okay, we need more information about this. Like,
because it's a grenade, right?
And
so Titan Rally Bear. I talked about this in the video. Titan Rally Barricade, the towering one, got nerfed for Trials of Osiris, right? So you can like one shot it or whatever. That was a grenade, or that was an ability that you like literally you had to slide in. You had to go into the animation. You had to survive getting shot at through the animate, which you could get sniped while doing it. And then you go back and like walk over and like pick up your bro. This is a solid wall that you're throwing from cover as a grenade. So I was like,
And then I think the frozen thing, I think, was a melee for the hunter.
Yeah, it was like two. They had two.
Yeah. So I'm really interested by that. And we don't know what the other characters have either, as far as I could tell.
Even if it doesn't freeze on the first hit and you're actually dead when you freeze, it's not like Tether where you're just standing there for. Oh my god, I would rage quit PvP forever. Yeah, I got hit by that, and I like literally had to sit there for like 10 seconds until I died or something. Oh man, that would be unbearable. But I also noticed that at least it looked like, because they had the purple flash effect of being suppressed.
Yeah, I did notice that. Yeah, that's an interesting thing.
I want to reserve a lot of judgment until we learn more about it.
Yeah,
because I try to not get worked up about stuff until I know more. I got so worked up about sunsetting when they first told us that we were going to do that they were taking our stuff away, and I was like,
but you were right to be upset about it because it hasn't looked like it's going to go in the right direction.
Oh yeah,
I know, and I was trying to be positive about that too, and I just couldn't after a while, and so I'm trying to be positive about this. And
to be clear, I think that
it could be good for PvP because it could just completely change the way PvP is played.
Right. No, I agree with that. I think it's going to be, at least, if nothing else. So, okay, I think PvP is kind of this dumpster mode that Bungie's kind of coming around to the idea of PvP is the Smash Bros of shooters,
Yep.
So anything goes, this isn't Fox only, Final Destination, no items. We're, everybody's doing ice climbers and, well, now they definitely are doing ice climbers and like random fucking huge maps and all items. Like that's Destiny PvP. But like, okay, fine, fair enough. But when I look at like the applications for this in say PvE, right? Okay, so you have like a team of like say 3 hunters. Okay, and because I mean everybody always has like a ton of hunters, and you have like 1 warlock, or we don't know what other classes have different abilities that can interact with the environment and build walls or freeze things. Imagine though like 3-4 hunters, or like an entire raid team of hunters with that grenade that can build walls or like platforms.
I can easily see that being toxic.
Just breaking mechanics, man. I see that being so fun, honestly. Like in raids or like dungeons or getting out of the map, that just looks like it's going to be fun. So I'm not mad about that. Or I was talking about this because they have the shatter and they have the encase mechanics, or the encase and shatter. Anthem combos. Remember the Anthem combo system where you would set up?
I still have that game.
And then you would like do bonus damage. So what if you're setting up with the encase, and then like there's some subclass abilities that have the encase, and then there's others that have the shatter, and it does bonus damage with shatter. And now we bring this into weapons. So I was like, what if they had that like portal gun looking thing, the one that looks like the tractor cannon, right? That was like shooting the huge chunk of ice.
Right.
What if that is a shatter gun, but then you have something like No Time to Explain. When you get consecutive crit shots, it encases, okay, and then you can like pair an encase weapon with a shatter ability, and that's your exotic, and we're now having this interplay. Now that's I mean I'm probably hyping it up and like hoping that there's more being done there than there actually is, but wouldn't that be so cool? Like I want to look on the bright side for one time, okay, not always be the Debbie Downer, but that would be so freaking cool.
Yeah, I definitely like you guys said, we definitely need to wait and see what they say.
Right.
But we definitely need some kind of info to let us know. Some logistics to it.
I'm worried that they haven't given us any information.
Yeah.
And they should have had information by now because it was going to come out in September.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're saving
really
it.
Weird when it comes to that.
Not
to interrupt. They're really they either give too much information or not enough.
Right.
Like they either spoil the entire DLC in one stream, or like you don't know what you're buying.
Yeah, I think the players are very fair to be demanding like, how is this exactly going to work in PvP? Like, because I think it's fair to be worried about it. And besides that. We haven't seen what the Warlock and Titan abilities are fully yet.
Titan just got Titan Slam.
Well, yeah,
Titan just got
I
Titan
wasn't
Slam
crazy
again.
about that because it was a little disappointing because it's like, really, we already have that. I mean, the Hunter and Warlock abilities look really fun, the supers, but the Titan super, we need like a gameplay video of the Titan super.
Yeah, I like the Thou Shall Not Pass that the Warlock's got. Like, he's got this stab out. He's
Oh
like,
my god.
"You shall
I said that to my
not
brother,
Finally a
"You
space
shall not
mage, guys. I'm
pass."
very excited about this.
Yeah, I love
I
the ice
wanted
picks.
nothing more than to be a space mage, and I'm a space mage.
It's really fulfilling the space magic vibe. I
Yes.
love the ice picks for the Hunter. It's just like, whatcha, wow, you can
Yeah,
just
it looks like it's
smash
again
and
another.
throw.
This is why I think other abilities have like suppression, because it looks like it was suppressing when it was doing it, and then there might have even been like a little AOE on the back end.
Mhm.
Again, we don't know. We won't know till it comes out. But
Yeah.
given the cues that we're used to seeing with other things in Destiny, that's what the cues were telling me.
Yeah.
And so, we'll see. But like, hey, dude, that's cool. Did still kind of look like Blade Barrage.
Yeah, I am worried about that.
I was like, oh, it's Icy Blade Barrage. Okay.
AC Blade Barrage. Blade Barrage.
Yeah, right. I do love the thick snow. I know that's like not a big deal, but to me, stuff like that is very
No,
important
I
to
love
me.
that.
Do you
especially
remember
love
we
that.
can make snow angels?
Yeah,
There will probably be an emote for that.
I
I want
hope
to make
so.
snow angels.
That'll be a
again.
Christmas emote.
I better
I love
be.
the thick snow. I love snowy locations, rainy locations, and snowy locations. So I love that they actually, instead of just us making footprints like they always do, now it's thick snow. I'm like, yes!
Well,
It's such a
I'm
weird little
wondering,
thing to
'cause
notice, but I love it.
the players were walking through it, so it's obviously dividing on the player model. So if you like sit in it, will it pool around you? If you
I
like,
hope
if they
so.
had like you lay down and you do the snow angel thing, maybe it doesn't do anything on any of the other destinations, but here, because the way that it is already shown the snow interacting with the player, maybe you can do a snow angel emote.
That would be
I don't know,
awesome.
that'd be cool.
And I like that they took notice of that and they actually put that in the game because, it's just little changes like that that make me feel more in tune with the game. I'm just like,
Yep.
oh, that makes me feel pretty good about it. Or like when you look down, for me, it's so important to look down and see my character's
feet.
legs.
Yeah.
That's so important. Like, this is just a thing for me, but I'm so picky with gauntlets. I only like gauntlets where I can see, like even a little piece of the armor, like on my thumbs or claws on my fingers, especially on a hunter, it's hard to find those. But, I love seeing that in first person. It's such a dumb thing to care about.
Oh no,
But
I like
for
the
me-
hand wraps. There's
No,
only
it's
the hand
like
wraps,
gauntlets that get hand wraps.
Yeah.
And it's the Tangled Shore ones or whatever. The
Yeah, you use
ones
those
from
all the
Destiny
time.
1.
Yeah. And to me, it's stupid, but at the same time, it's like, it just makes me feel like I am
It's
that
immersive.
character, like I'm there. And
Yeah.
it helps a lot. And because like I have tattoos right here. So the closest I can get to feeling like that is with gauntlets that.
Oh yeah, I armbands,
Yeah. So, the snow-looking armor, we didn't really get a great look at it, but I like
I'm
it.
not a fan.
I like the idea of it. I want to see
Mhm.
more of it because we didn't really get a great look at it.
No.
So I want to see more. I also just want to see like more armor. I want to see.
Yeah, I want to see more armor.
That's a big thing for me. I need to see some cool, unique armor. Part of the reason I hated the Iron Banner armor from Destiny 2, and I hate all the Iron Banner armor from Destiny 2, and I want that to be on record. I hate all the Iron Banner armor in Destiny 2 for hunters.
Somebody really weaved out on that armor and just kept going.
Yeah.
It's like the overlapping samurai plate, and they're like, yes, we're going to be
More.
samurai Iron Lords,
More.
because that makes sense.
But they never really embrace that. Like, I still don't think it even looks like that. It still just looks like hot trash to me. I think Warlocks and Titans have had a better go of it than Hunters. I think Hunters got completely screwed by the Iron Banner armor in Destiny 2.
Right.
And I'm not saying just bring back the Iron Banner armor from Destiny 1, although I would prefer that. But it just feels like that armor has no
Iron
real
Lord
detail.
armor that
The
was
Iron
in,
Lord armor
Rise of Armor, yo.
Yeah. I just feels like there's no detail in it, and the textures aren't great, and it just looks really odd. Like the year 1 Destiny 2 armor for the Iron Banner, especially on Hunters, it just looks so meh. Like the helmet was okay, but the rest of it was just like eh. And I'm not saying all of Destiny 1's armor looked great too, because there's plenty of Destiny 1 armor that looks like hot trash too. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But it just feels like, there was a weathered look to that Iron Lord armor, or the Iron Banner armor. It was weathered. It was detailed with the chainmail and the fur and the flames and the, we
had the, that kind of, the Iron Lords are, Etherean knights, right?
Yeah.
They are based on the Holy Grail that was, Siva. And so like the style was, always kind of that Celtic, that's what that thing is, the Iron Lord symbol. It's, very Celtic in origins. So when they like moved away from that design logic for the armor, I think it also lost a bit of its identity. That's not to say that you can't have like, maybe you do have like a Roman style armor, or you go and you do have like a Mongol or a samurai style like traits to it. But like having the same kind of design logic over and over and over again, though, where it does kind of have this like samurai look to it, or at least it like looks like it has the kind of same overlapping plate type thing that samurai armor is supposed to look like. It goes back to that, like people have different tastes, right? Some people may be over the moon for that, right? But I'm not going to be over the moon for earning it again for a year in a row, 2 years in a row.
I don't even do it anymore. I legit don't even do it anymore. I don't care if it's Pinnacle, because it's just, I'm not going to grind for armor I hate. And I don't care if I can put ornaments on it. I hate that armor. I don't want it. And it's just frustrating because I agree with you. I think it loses its feeling where, the Iron Lords have a specific theme to them. And ever since Rise of Iron, they've been phasing it away in a sense. And I don't like that. And like, even when you go to talk to Saladin, he acts like he doesn't even know you.
Yeah.
Like, I played Rise of Iron. I'm his friend. He gave me a sword.
It's even funnier because if you play the beginning of Destiny 2, right? Shaxx goes, Saladin's young wolf.
Yeah.
And, like,
and then he looks at you and you're like, what's up, Guardian?
Well, like, he's like, using Razelighter and...
Razelighter. Thanks for saving Razelighter, Shaxx. Can I have it back now? Like, but it's...
And our Imago Loop. That's his hand cannon on his thing.
That's what it is?
Loop. Yep. Like, go and look at it.
I've always wondered. But that's just like little things that I just don't understand how it got by, because it just, like we were talking about, it loses that being in the world where it's like, I spent so much time with Lord Saladin and it just doesn't feel like it meant anything.
He didn't know who you were in Destiny 2 when you like saved him in D1, and he's just like, hello. I'm like, I know who you are.
I know, right?
And it doesn't even say like his
I saved your life. I know. Like, at least acknowledge like all the stuff that I did for you.
And look at the
text. Have they not done an exotic quest for like Saladin reforging Young Wolf's Howl and like giving that to you as like an Iron Banner weapon? Like that would be
amazing.
That would be the easiest knockout of the park. Like,
I would be so thrilled about that.
But we remember the Iron Banner emote that was only in the cash shop, and everybody lost their minds, rightfully so. There was no way to earn that, and it's like, and Bungie always says like, oh yeah, that was a misstep, but whatever.
We're gonna do it again.
We're gonna do it again every season.
Let's do a Lord of Wolves. Let's do a Lord of Wolves ornament that looks like it should have been an Iron Banner, but pay us 700 silver for it, and it's not going to be in the Iron Banner. So so it's just like. And it's just little things like that. I just really don't understand how it gets past management. Nobody ever brings it up. Nobody says like, that doesn't make any sense. And like I said, a lot of the Iron Banner,
it's like there's like a culture of, and maybe it's because it's Seattle.
Yeah.
I don't know. But maybe there's just kind of a culture of fear. Like when you're an underling, right? Like you get in there, you go in there because you want Bungie on your application. Maybe you grew up playing Bungie games and you're like so starstruck. But then you see this thing and you're like, that doesn't make... So, then you try to take that up to your bosses and you get ostracized. So like maybe you're afraid of that or something like that. I mean, you'd have to imagine though, with like 800 people there, that wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah.
But we are. Yeah. And apparently, again, going through the Glassdoor, there's like an over-reliance on contract work. And when you're a contract worker and you're trying to get hired in as a permit, you're not going to make those suggestions. You're going to keep your head down and you're going to just do your job.
Yeah. And Another problem I have is the cosmetic of the Iron Banner weapons looks like trash. There is no excuse as to why those guns look so boring.
I don't want
when we
spiky,
had them.
rusty nonsense.
I'm not saying we need spiky, rusty nonsense from Destiny 1, but
I don't want it.
It just feels like there's no love put into the design. It's just like, here's a boring Suros-looking weapon, but we put an Iron Banner sigil on it. There you go. I want something with like fur or wrappings, or I don't care really. I just want it to look like it belongs.
How about it just doesn't look like a bunch of the default weapons that we get? Like we're going into aesthetic, right? But like honestly, at the end of the day, it's just a reskin.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's more the problem than anything.
Yeah. Like, I don't think we need to bring it back to the Iron Banner from D1. Like, you know, make it different from that, because there was plenty of those weapons in the Iron Banner that looked like, ugh. But it just doesn't feel like there's enough time being spent. And we know that the art department is incredible, and we know that some of these weapons are amazing looking. So why hasn't that been put into an activity that Bungie always hypes up? Like, the Iron Banner's coming, get ready! And it's like,
get ready! Now there's only 2 new weapons this season and an armor set you've already grinded for.
Yeah. And
well, it's like, I'm not complaining that forward path that we got this season is just Origin Story, but a different color. It's Origin Story at home. I loved Origin Story year one.
No, that's
I
fair.
love how it sounds. I love how it feels. I'm not sad about it. Like, I'm really enjoying it.
For me, it's just
but at the same time, it's just Origin Story. Like, come on, guys.
It just feels lazy, and that gets to me, because then it permeates on me, because I'm like, oh, well, they didn't really put a lot of work into this weapon, so why should I? That's what it feels like. It just feels like, why am I even going to bother if they didn't? So that's sometimes how I feel.
Models that they don't use that are like really blues and stuff.
awesome.
Like go through the blues and greens. There's a lot of unique models that are never used again.
Blue auto rifles with like hollow sights, EOTech hollow sights and stuff that look really cool. Scout rifles, you know, the weird scout rifles with the weird round mag, and you know, hand cannons, blue hand cannons that look
blue
very
hand cannons
cool.
that are really nice.
You know,
they're just not used.
Common helmets, common level helmets with like these weird clone trooper rangefinders.
Oh yeah, like the what was it? The hard case helmet is like basically the helm of Inmost Light, but without the cool stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why hasn't that been put into?
Why isn't that like a legendary or something? Yeah.
Well, Raw Slices, the blue auto rifles are really good auto rifle.
It is.
Like,
bring it back from the collections. It's very good in the Crucible.
It's very good.
Stable. It's all
I use that in PvP.
It's a very good auto rifle.
And then people get mad that you killed them with a bunch of blue stuff.
Oh yeah.
You get messages later like, I can't believe you're loadout. Like, yep.
Or they had that one sniper that is like literally Revoker without like the cool Revoker stuff on it, but it's a blue. There's one with whatever that sight is called. I can't remember the scope. Yeah. It's like the super low zoom one, and I think it has like Outlaw or something. Yeah. And it's just a really solid sniper, but it's a blue.
Yeah, I agree. You know, and how every sword looks the same except for the newest ones. They all have the same aesthetic, except for these new ones that look really, really cool. They always look like,
I like the pickaxe sword. I thought that was kind of funny.
That was cool.
The giant one.
But these like weird, like all these swords from back in the day that just looked super basic, you know. And it's just a little disappointing to see a lot of the Iron Banner weapons just be basic reskins. And it's like you could have done so much more
because we have this one sword model. You see it in the environment, right? Though, like if you go over towards like where Saint 14 is, and he has the swords sitting there, or the one that was on our
his
tomb.
decoration sword. Yeah, the one that was on our not grave.
Yeah, on our not grave. Why don't we use that as a model? Like clearly it exists.
Yeah,
you know,
it's in Zavala's office too.
Yeah. Or ships. This season, the Anegan, and then Absalom Knife from last season, and Flying Foundry, Spear of the Four, the Third Tide, Bane of Tyrants, all these ships that are just reskins of boring ships from before. Why do I care about grinding for Anegan if it just looks like Saint 14 ship, and it looks like another ship and another ship? If there's no uniqueness to that at all, why would I care about getting that? Like, And
But
we've
then-
seen. No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, then you're gonna have ships like the Waffle Iron ship or
Yeah.
the Dragonfly ship or the Solar Sail ship. I don't know the name of that one.
Oh, that one's
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
I think it's actually called Solar Sails.
The Count Dooku ship.
Yeah. So you have all these like beautiful ships now too. So like they, at least with ships and sparrows, they're a little unique.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like when sparrows, like, there's only one sparrow that I've ever used since I got it. It was the exotic from Scourge.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the perks.
The perk. Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Even though I still think that sparrow doesn't even look that cool, but that perk is so useful.
Mhm.
And that's what's very frustrating. It's like all sparrows should just have that and speed demon automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Just automatically. Then I can
think
use
that's
it
what
every
that
spell
is.
I want.
It is instant summon and speed demon.
I don't think it has speed demon.
I have no idea.
I don't think it does.
I
I'll
have
to
it up
check.
right, always on time.
Does it
Yeah.
have-
Let's see. It has stealth running. Enemies are less aggressive toward you while you're riding the sparrow, and it has improved assembler. This vehicle has a shorter cooldown between summonings.
Jesus.
There you go.
How does it not have speed demon? How?
Because speed
It was-
demon is on ghost shells.
Oh, is it?
It
Yeah,
just-
speed
it just
demon is a ghost shell.
feels like they could have
Ah,
just
okay.
done so much more with those.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They still could,
Your
I
vehicle
like
takes
the
less time to
idea.
summon, and then guiding light is my ghost shell.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing you
Such a
want on a
useful
ghost
perk.
shell.
I do like the design aesthetic of weapons in Beyond Light, even though we only got like we got that one log
Very
like
brief.
picture,
Yeah.
and then we saw a couple things a little bit.
Yeah.
I like that aesthetic. I want to see more. My main thing is I'm like Joker. Show me the hand cannons. Got to see these hand cannons. What do they
Yeah.
look like? Can we get some
Because
love
I
for
think if they
110s?
leave hand cannons the way they are and they
Yeah.
nerf auto rifles, we'll actually have a balanced PvP. Like, think about it. Like, what's the only problem in PvP? I mean, there's some other problems in PvP, right? But like
Mhm.
with sunsetting, getting rid of, the pinnacle weapons, if they don't even touch hand cannons, don't give it back its range, just do something about the 600 rate of fire auto rifles, PvP will be fairly balanced.
I think so. I think it's a fair point. It'll be pretty close. I liked that brief image of the multiple Scourge bosses that they were fighting. That seemed really interesting. I couldn't tell. Were they in the air, like far up in the air, or were they just briefly over the ground? I couldn't exactly tell because everything was white.
No, the hunter was up in the air because they did the
The
deal.
frozen thingy
Yeah.
or
the
whatever.
blade barrage, and then they were, but it looked like they were in some kind of like weird place.
Space.
Like everything was smoky and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because I couldn't tell how far up in the air they were, but I like the idea of them bringing back the Scourge boss design.
So it
'cause
might
it's
be
a cool design.
dungeon or something.
Yeah, but I love that idea.
Right.
Bring back that design because that was such a unique design.
Mhm.
And since we're losing Scourge, it's kind of cool for them to bring that back. I definitely think that we had some good reveals in that. I'm worried that they're going to turn the stranger into another vendor.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
That's
absolutely
so
certain
depressing.
they're going to.
She is so cool and so interesting. And I think they're just going to do what they always do. And they're just going to be like, she's going to stand around looking out over the pyramid and go, "Oh, Guardian, do this fetch quest for me." And you're just like, "Cool, thanks, cool."
Cool. Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. I did order her statue. I did. I couldn't turn that
I've been
up.
thinking about
Not
it.
turn that up. But
I
I'm
still haven't
questioning.
pre-ordered the game.
Well, you have plenty of time to now.
I know.
I am wondering with GameStop and other companies or whoever's actually selling the statue. I ordered mine through GameStop, but the statue's supposed to come out September 22nd. So I'm wondering, or 21st.
No, that'll probably get pushed back.
That's probably gonna get pushed out, and that sucks because I really want.
I'll
that
be right
statue.
back, guys.
Go for it. But I'm wondering, the stranger is so interesting. Hopefully we get some quest missions with her playing. And I know we've all said this in the Destiny community. Give us more interactions with NPCs in missions and stuff. Like, we see it in Division. I just finished Division Warlords of New York. And, you fight with Agent Kelso during some of these missions, and that's awesome. I would love Destiny to do that with her. Because she has these weird abilities like this teleportation, all that. Let's see that. What are your thoughts on that?
I would really like to interact more with Ikora and Zavala, especially like thinking back to the Red War.
Mhm.
Like they're in like the final cutscenes, like to the push to God, what was the name of the fucking ship?
Oh, to the Almighty,
Yeah, to all of that.
While you were
To
at the Almighty, they were pushing in on the
They
city.
were pushing in on the city, so you got to see what they were doing.
But we never got to interact
You
with
ran
them.
past them when you were jumping through like in the city to get to the teleporter, like they're there. And so I mean, they had at least they were more involved in like the actual mission itself. I do like how the last few seasons, last season and this season, we've had more cutscenes, and Zavala's been really involved.
Yeah.
Especially he and Anna Bray last season with Rasputin. This season, I really wish they'd give Ikora something to do.
Yeah,
She's
so
such a cool
interesting.
character, and she's so strong, and they could really just like make a statement, but she doesn't even have stuff for us anymore.
Yeah.
Like we can't even talk to her to pick up missions.
And I just wish that we could have conversations with these NPCs about certain things, just to tell us about the Battle of Twilight Gap and reminisce about that. Like it doesn't feel enough like has been fleshed out with these characters to where they just seem like palette swapped NPCs, and it's so frustrating because I definitely agree with you on Ikora. I used to think she sucked, and then they fleshed her out a little bit with Destiny 2, and then I really started to like her.
Yeah, well, you find out she's the one that broke Shax's helmet too.
Yeah, like, it's awesome.
Yeah, no one will play. No one will do PvP with her because she'll just like wipe the floor with them. Like that's awesome, and they never talk about it.
Especially in the first mission of the Red War, which, like you said, it's sad that new players won't be able to see it. When she takes out that gunship by herself with the Nova bomb.
Oh yeah, her Nova bomb is insane. Yeah,
and nobody's ever going to experience that. And it's really sad.
And even with Curse of Osiris, when you have Ikora and Osiris interacting, because she was like his protege, and you're not going to get any of that interaction. You're just going to have to believe like the lore books if you choose to go back and read them.
If you choose to go back to read them. We don't have a grimoire in game?
Well, we do.
Well, like the Codex thing in Mass Effect.
Oh.
And how people in the community have even said, like, my name is Mike and all them, they're like, we'll read it for free. We'll record it all for free. That'd be nice.
We have our, I guess, like our, a lot of lore podcasts and like lore content creators have the Lore Network.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a hub for all of the Destiny lore people. It's not just Destiny lore; it's like Dragon Age lore too. And
do you want to expand on that for the community, for the people listening? Do you want to talk about what that is?
Yeah, the lorenetwork.com is it's kind of a website portal that you can go to that has a bunch of Destiny content creators and other content creators for other lore communities. It's mostly Destiny though. So you can find like Mylan Games, you can find like My Name is Bife. For podcasts, you can find my podcast, you can find like Focus Fire Chat. The Lore Network was created by Blue Crew and Green Eyed Music Lover of Focus Fire Chat. So it's just a place where you can find where all these content creators kind of exist.
Yeah.
So it's a good place to go to if you want like lore stuff.
Hear you. Yeah, I mean, that sounds awesome. And yeah, we were just talking, Joker, about how we don't feel like certain NPCs have been fleshed out enough, like especially at Korra, and how it'd be nice if they would expand on playing with NPCs in missions. Like, I would love for Beyond Light if we play with the stranger during these missions, because especially since she has these really vague abilities, I would love to see that.
Even imagine, just for example, like going back to kind of the Halo example, if the NPCs were at least, maybe they're not like in the mission with us, but maybe they were as involved as, say, like Brohammer was in that scene. You know, like he had. Now, don't get me wrong. If he does that like more than like 2 or 3 times, I'm gonna be like, shut up and pilot the Gundam, Shinji, or whatever. Just get in the robot, Shinji. Pilot the Pelican. Mixing up my euphemisms here, but like, you know, because they're like, oh, he's the most human character that's ever been, and I'm like, oh god, what does that mean?
Yeah, right.
Like,
Yeah.
there's
anything.
playing the straight man to Master Chief's craziness, right? But then, like, when you put him next to Johnson, Miranda, you know, all these awesome other characters, like, I really don't want somebody that's bitching all the time.
No.
And that's, you know, to bring that back with the Destiny thing, like, yeah, why don't we just interact with the NPCs more? But, like, if it does get to the point of annoyance, then, like, I can see where that's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Because people play Destiny. Do you really want to go into, like, the first time around? Yes. Okay. When you go in, you load up a mission and you get a cutscene and it's like really cool. But like because Destiny reuses so much content, like the 18th time that it does that same, oh man, like this is why we make fun of, like, we stepped into a war with the Cabal on Mars, because it's so, like, you heard it like 800 times while playing Destiny 1, and it's so meme worthy, it's so cringe, it's like the stupidest piece of dialogue, or like Omnigul screams. But, you know, those to kind of do a comparison with Halo, though, Spartan Ops was basically strikes before strikes. That dialogue was so bad. It's like, oh, we gotta help out the eggheads. The eggheads this, the eggheads that. And I'm like, shut up, Palmer. That's why nobody likes Palmer. So if you do it too much, like if you have too much interacting with the NPCs and the NPCs just doesn't land, you know, you'll wind up with Sarah Palmer from Halo.
Or you'll end up with Brother Vance.
Or you'll end up with Brother Vance.
What
Brother
they
Vance.
did to Brother Vance.
I am simping. Oh, Cyrus. So
I can't believe they did that to him.
This is so Syrian.
He was so cool in Destiny 1 because he was so mysterious and he had the hood over him. And then in Destiny 2, they're like 180 on that, you know? And it's just like, who was in charge of that? Why would you do that? Like,
it's like they forgot all about him and then they added him back because they thought it'd be really cool, but then they just like made him, like you said, like simp for Osiris.
Yeah, to me it feels like Gandhi in Civilization.
That's like literally what
the adoring fan. Yeah.
Yep.
To me it feels like Gandhi in Civilization. I believe that's where it is, where he's like in the first game, because of a glitch, he was super nuke, like he would nuke everything. So in every other game they were like, oh, that's funny, let's just keep doing that. So it feels like with Brother Vance, they were like, this will be kind of funny if we put it in. And it was funny at first, and then you're just like, okay, it's not really that funny anymore. It's like just kind of annoying.
I mean, you even see this with like Cora, right? Or Zavala or Shax.
Yeah.
Or, you know, Amanda. Like, they have these very small character developments as it is. Eris has had a huge character development, but has she really? I mean, she's gotten a lot of story, but like literally she's back in the same revenge hunt with like same shit, different hive god.
Yeah.
You know, she's not grown as a character.
Yeah.
And so, you know, same thing, like they're very one-note caricatures of characters.
Mm-hmm.
They're cardboard vending machines, you know, essentially. And I think that's the biggest way, because if you do go into the lore and you like we all like to meme about, just because it happened, I think, like the audacity it took to like do the helmet stayed on thing on the Titan Last Wish thing. Like, nobody saw that coming, and then it's just there, and you're like, and that like little joke that endears, you know, Shax and Mara and that, you know, kind of relationship. And that's why people talk about it. And what's funny is you have this one line on an ass cloth, but you like look in the lore and you have this whole like relationship with Juraido, and then you have, you know, Petra simping for the queen. Nobody cares. It's the helmet stayed on. You have
Shax memorizing the Tempest and being able to just go blah at it, but you don't have like you don't have that for all the other characters, and it's too bad.
Yeah, it's a I think what they sometimes do really well is they get very specific character traits. Like, again, with Shax, it works. Because he is a Titan. He is this like hard-headed, you know, awesome, but he's also eloquent. You know, you don't necessarily see that side.
He's very eloquent, yeah.
And that's cool, but like then you try to do a very caricature for Zavala, and he's the straight dude who like the straight and narrow, you know, razor's edge dude who's like, you know, he walks around with a stick up his ass, you know, and that's his character arc.
Yeah.
You know, or Saint 14's like kind of the weird Greek uncle.
Greek Greek
like,
Russian uncle. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was supposed to be Russian, but he sounds Greek. And
He does, but he's supposed to be Russian.
Yeah,
Like
I don't care.
a lot of people have argued because he calls everyone like brother. But that's just a Russian term. Like that's just a thing that like Russians do. So I don't know. I mean, now you had a lot of people. I'm saying a lot of people. You had a bunch of girls who play this game, like needle in on Osiris and Saint 14 because like
just ship you're
not doing that for
shipping.
Your bro. Like, sorry, yeah, we shipped it super hard and then it like we wished it into reality in the dungeon, and it makes me like the happiest person on the face of the planet. Sorry, I know. I ruined the game for everybody.
I don't care. You get your fan fiction shipping, you know? Yep. I mean, like,
I need
now
that
we're getting into robots, though. Like, is that I like? Oof, man, sentient robots. Like, that's a fetish. Sex robot, sex robot.
I do like that the raid is going to be the new raid for everybody who's listening is going to be, in the Deepstone Crypt on. It was originally supposed to be on Enceladus.
So no, okay. I wanna like correct that for the record. The only thing we know about Enceladus or whatever it's called is Kate just says it's tell the paladin whatever it's on, and we have no idea what that is in reference to though.
Y'all assumed it was that.
Everybody assumed the Deepstone Crypt was on Enceladus, but I mean before then, everybody assumed that the Deepstone Crypt was on Europa. So.
Yeah,
and then they also assumed it was on Mars too. So yeah.
I mean, but what's stopping the Deepstone Crypt from being in a bunch of different places? Since it's a bunch of computer banks, it could be at a bunch of places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we don't know enough.
Just because the raid's there right now doesn't mean that it's not also on another location.
And we have to find the Deepstone Crypt. I'm spoiling it. I'm calling it out. I'm already predicting the plot.
Okay, tell me.
We have to find the Deepstone Crypt to fix Rasputin.
Well, yeah, because he's in an engram right now.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And a lot of people have like predicted that, they're going to go back to that original idea in Destiny 1 where he's supposed to be an XO. And
he's in an XO body.
We were supposed to go to the Dreadnought in Destiny 1.
I love anybody else. Okay.
So
I complained about this because narratively speaking, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But like just the meme worthiness, I don't think Bungie necessarily meant it to be meme worthiness, but it was hilarious. We spent this entire season building up Rasputin. 9 million public events. Fellwinter's door got locked.
Yeah.
And then, like, literally, like, I made the little video where it's like the Helsinga Bridge, where it's like, and what happened to the last one? And it just shows Rasputin, like, die. Like, it's like, oh, you all pushed out like a bitch. And it's like the pyramid ships talking to each other.
Yeah. It's literally the first day of the season, then it's just like
like hold on, let's see if I can find that. It's like Rasputin leaves chat or something.
Yeah. I love that Anna Bray uses his missiles and it takes out one ship, and then like 10 seconds later it's like, and there's another ship and he's dead. Like,
yeah. Oh, I assumed it didn't even take the ship out.
Yeah,
and just like the ship just phased out for a second and then came back, and she's like, "Oh no, all this work we did doesn't matter."
Yeah.
And Rasputin's like, "Okay, bye-bye."
She's honestly too happy for me. She is way too happy-go-lucky for me. So
Did you know the Hive are sending an ogre?
Oh my God! Don't even get me started on that.
The Hive are sending an ogre. The Hive are sending an ogre. That's
I think it's very interesting that Joker has strong feelings about this. I know he does.
Strong feelings
how
about
they
everything.
Kind of retcon her lore in a sense back in the day to the Battle of Twilight Gap, and how she kind of just peaced out.
Here's my thing. So with Anna, there's a million things they could do with Anna Bray being back alive, by the way. And they chose Deserter at Twilight Gap in the comic book for it. Like, what? I mean, her sister's literally a time-traveling robot.
Yeah.
In fact, you could explain, literally, they could go, and I'm getting heated about this because it makes so much sense in lore, and I'm like, why haven't you done this? There are so many retcons in Destiny 2, it's not even funny. Okay, fine, fair enough. Maybe a writer couldn't be bothered to double-check, cross a T, dot an I. Maybe it was different writers. Maybe that was the plan all along. Okay, time-traveling robot. Just like we literally Destiny 1 starts like within the actual plot to go do all the Vex stuff. Destiny 1 starts off with a time traveler coming back in time and diverting our entire timeline by coming up to us and going, hey, yeah, all the stuff that you're probably going to do with the Hive, no. Actually, go to Venus because the big threat's on Venus. We wouldn't have done that had the Exo Stranger not come back. So we're already in a different timeline than what our original one would have been. Okay, so how about have like the Exo Stranger, like the reason why we have all these retcons is because the Exo Stranger has been going back in time and like screwing with things, like fucking the timeline up and like or trying to unfuck it or whatever, trying to figure out a condition where she wins against the darkness, or at least brings light and darkness into balance. You have this narrative tool, and yes, it'd be somewhat cheap, but it's better than retcons for the sake of retcons.
Yeah. I understand that point completely. Like during the public event where she's like, that reminds me of my days as a gunslinger. And I'm just like, when did they stop? You didn't lose your power permanently.
Yeah, you're
still a gunslinger.
Like, you're not Eris. You didn't lose your light. Like you still can do it. We've seen you do it.
Yeah,
it was in a cutscene.
Or whatever.
And as a hunter, I'm like, when I hear that as a hunter, I'm like, as far as I know, it didn't stop. Like, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah, it's not like she's like shackled to the Vanguard, so.
She is shackled to that building.
Not for long.
Yeah, right. I think Brother Vance is going to go into the Infinite Force and disappear forever, which...
There is, the lore that you're getting from this, if you've not already read it, Brother Vance has the greatest ending of all 4 characters that are going away. Yeah. And I will spoil it for you because it's pretty much the greatest thing ever. So Brother Vance is, if you didn't know, he is blind and doesn't have eyeballs.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't know that. So Brother Vance is blind. He goes into the Infinite Forest one last time and he feels around and he finds his doppelganger in the Infinite Forest. His like darkness doppelganger, kind of like we had one. Mm-hmm. And he essentially turns around, sticks his thumbs into the other guy's eyeballs and like rips his eyeballs out. And says like, well, it's too bad that you still have eyeballs in there.
Nice.
Okay.
It's very
Brother
dark.
Vance
and I love
gets Brother Brutal.
Yeah, Brother Vance. It got real dark real fast. I love it.
Is that like, because he's like jealous of the doppelganger having eyes, or
no? It's because he knew that it wasn't him as like a reflection. So he knew that it was the doppelganger.
Wow.
And then goes and rips the other guy's eyeballs out. I'm like,
brutal.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
hey.
that's earnable. Like you could get that lore.
Yeah, you get some clout there at that point. Like, if you go out like that, ripping out your doppelganger's eyeballs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, that's some badass points. You get to redeem yourself there.
That's the very last story in that book. Is the last chapter is him ripping his doppelganger's eyeballs out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Brother Vance is harsh.
Brutal.
It's very brutal.
Okay, now I think this is gonna be a weird, tough subject to switch to, but we all have seen the controversies that wrecked the Destiny community not that too long ago. We've all seen that on Twitter and whatnot, and it was very surprising, especially for me, because I had watched one of these creators for a while. But it is nice to see how the community has pushed back from it and grown. But briefly, if you want, talk about what you felt when that first broke through, especially on some of these content creators that it was definitely a little surprising to find out these controversies.
Yeah, nobody wants to take that one first.
Yeah,
because it's a tough.
Yeah, understandable.
One of those things that I kept seeing, and I hated the way it was being framed, is talking about the female creators, and it's like, well, they don't do this, that, and the other because they don't want to close this avenue. And I completely get that, but why is that part of the conversation?
Yeah.
Why are we like even looking at it like that? Why aren't we just going, hey, these people fucked up and like they clearly used their position, you know? Like why are like, yes, I get it. They didn't do this for this reason. Fine, fair enough. Why is that part of the conversation?
Yeah.
That annoyed me. Seeing a lot of that. And then, I am on the same note, because this is uncomfortable to talk about.
Yeah, of course.
Understand, like, I'm in the innocent till proven guilty kind of camp. I don't like the mob, but like when these guys came out and immediately said, oh yeah, well, it could have been misconstrued, but yeah, okay, I fucked up in the past. Like, no, you're done. You admitted guilt and stuff like that. And it's a very hard place to be with, and I get people don't necessarily agree with that opinion, the innocent till proven guilty, because sometimes you can't, and sometimes it's a hard thing, but it goes back to I'd rather release 100 murderers than sentence one innocent person to death.
Right.
And that's a really hard thing because that's not a personal thing. That's a more of a moral thing,
Yeah.
But I do appreciate and I applaud the community for being there for the people, for listening to their stories, and then once it was beyond a shadow of a doubt that these people had fucked up and these people had crossed the line, excommunicated them. Didn't even know. Like, we're not playing this game. We're not playing you're canceled and cancel culture. We're not playing this back and forth. Just go.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand completely. For me, it was really surprising because when I found out about Lono, I was very surprised.
Yeah.
And maybe I was just blind or something, but I just didn't know anything. Now, I always thought it was really weird that he would never talk about these things. Like, he would never talk. He would always get super defensive when people were like, well, why don't you go to Destiny, the Guardian Con and all that stuff. And he would be like, oh, they're just not cool with me like that. I'm like, okay, that's a weird thing to say. That doesn't make any sense. And then everything came out and I was like, oh, okay, totally makes sense now. And I was very appalled by it, like, stealing badges just to harass people, like, dude, that's the lowest of the low.
And then he made the hour-long video about how he didn't steal the badge.
Yeah, and then the whole, we're gonna go to court about it. Good luck with that, bro. Good luck with that. But I'm very, very proud of the Destiny community because the Destiny community can have a bad reputation sometimes, as any can. But I'm really happy with how the community responded. You just saw so much positivity for these mostly female streamers.
And support, yeah.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing. And even MTash admitting to some of his like times where, he knows that he like came off wrong, or, seeing guys like that be open and honest about things was very nice, because it's like, it shows like, hey, we're not all perfect and we can call ourselves out for when we mess up. So that was a wonderful thing. So obviously it was a terrible thing, but I think the community grew from that. Right. I definitely think
it is kind of one of those weird situations. Like, when do you like say stuff like that? I'm never been a fan of proselytizing or whatever. Like, oh, well, all these people, because it can kind of come off as like, oh, well, let me get ahead of this before I get canceled.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair point. And, like I said, you guys don't have to, talk about stuff that you don't want to talk about.
I don't know. A lot of the things that other girls were saying that were happening has just always been a part of being a girl in gaming.
Right.
Every girl I know has had stuff like that happen to her, whether at a con or in chat, or gotten messages or been harassed, or too many of us have had like restraining orders. That's just, so when I heard people come out about it, like, at least like my first reaction, instead of being like really sympathetic, I felt really callous and been like, well, yeah, that's just how it is. And we've just, I'm not saying that it's been like bred into us, or
no, you're not saying it's the right thing. It is.
No,
what it
but
is.
the first reaction that I had, that was, well, duh. that's just the way it is. Like, that shouldn't be the reaction that you have. And it kind of shows, like, at least how females are treated in gaming versus males treated in gaming. And it's not always by males. Sometimes it's by other females.
Yeah.
Like, some of, like, I think the more toxic harassment, at least, like, I'm speaking for myself, have come from other females and not other males. Like, one of my best friend in gaming is a male. Most of my friends are males that I play with because that's just the nature of it. And most of them are really, really respectful and kind and protective and do not let that kind of bullshit happen. But I mean, there's a couple females that, like, clans have had to ban because they're just so toxic and so.
Yeah, you get that.
You get
queen bee.
Mm-hmm. You get that, yeah, and you get the it's the girls that you meet in high school that are
the mean girls.
The mean girls, yeah, and you get that in gaming too, and you get that in clans, and I'm not saying it's right, but it's a thing that happens. But I mean, the harassment happens all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people understand, like, the kind of, I don't know. It makes you not. This is why I don't join LFGs.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I do not LFG because of this.
And there were some guys coming out with accounts that they've had of female creators. I can't remember the names, but we were hearing, like, I remember was it Scrafty or whatever? She's like, "Hey, don't forget that this is happening to guys too," you know.
Yeah, it totally is. And this time it was focused on females. I think a couple males came out with similar stories, but I'm with you, Joker, that a lot of it is kind of innocent until proven guilty. And because you don't want to just use a lot of, like, hearsay to condemn people.
Because we could also get into a situation where, for example, you have somebody who maybe didn't get the kudos from a content creator, and you think that this is the worst case. Nobody would fucking do this. Humans, but we're already talking about people victimizing people, right? We're already in a mindset that people will victimize people.
Yeah.
So why is it against the pale, or, like, you know, to have somebody who maybe didn't get the clout or the help or the you know, whatever, the signal boost that they wanted to help with their career, and then say, well, this person did something unfortunate. Like, look at what happened with around the same time with Angry Joe.
Yeah.
Right.
Somebody came out with a story that wasn't a story, then recanted the entire story. You know, so it's one of those. That's why you can't just naturally go to the witch hunt. But at the same time, you got to be as it's a delicate position, because you want to believe people, you want to be there, you want to be supportive of them. But being that support, being there for people, does not also mean that we shirk a responsibility to not, you know, hurt innocent people.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's
because we're just making more victims at that point.
Yeah. Well, we've covered a lot tonight. Definitely, I think, you know, this first episode might have gone on a little bit too long, but
that's okay. That's what editing is for.
Yeah, that's what editing is for. And then we'll try to keep it to about 2 hours going on from now. And obviously, I'd love to have you guys on this more often, because I think you guys provide a very good perspective on the game. And
I thought it was just all of us being salty and me trying to, like, pull brains back occasionally, but then like getting even worse.
I think we're covering a lot of things.
Well, it's because he said the sunsetting word.
Yeah,
that makes me see red every time I hear it.
Yeah.
That tainted the conversation. It was
it really did. Yeah, it all went downhill after sunsetting.
We will discuss a time to do this again soon. And we're definitely going to get Nathan on too, to join in on that. He was just a little bit too busy tonight, but we can definitely get him in on episode 2 or whatnot. So obviously very grateful for the two of you actually giving me the time of day to conduct this episode with you guys, you know.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. And
11 o'clock at my time almost.
So let's close this out with you guys, you know, saying your social media, what you're up to. You know, let's give you guys some shout outs on this. Come on.
Oh, yeah. You can find me on Twitter at HeyItsOrchid. You can find me on Twitch also at HeyItsOrchid. I try to stream Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. But that
Sorry
changes
about
all
today. Sorry about Thursday today.
I couldn't do yesterday either, so I have not streamed this week at all. It's been a real interesting week. My schedule has just been like completely shot, so I stream whenever I can now. And you can find our podcast, Guardians of Lore, anywhere you can download a podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Guardians_lore. Send us an email if you want, Guardians_lore@outlook.com. I'd love to hear from you. Give it a try. I officially joined the cast in episode 50, but I'm smattered throughout before then. But yeah,
with guest appearances.
And
Give it a listen, guys.
And then I stayed and didn't leave.
That's what happened with me in the DTR podcast when the Destiny Tracker was doing their podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, we'll have Joker on like once, twice, and then I was just a host.
You were just there. Yeah, that's kind of what happened to me. They're like, well, they asked me in their 50th episode. They're like, so why aren't you a host yet? I'm like, because you didn't ask me. They're like, well, we're asking you right now, and I'm like, okay.
I'm a lore nerd. I think they'd like my perspective.
Yeah, we try to release our episodes every Friday. Currently, awesome. Right now, we are. Oh God, what even? We're doing the Revelations, Spoopy Moon book.
All right.
So if you want to hear about some Spoopy Moon stuff,
nice.
Absolutely. What about you, Joker?
You can find me over on Twitter at DSR_Joker, and then of course on the YouTubes at Darkside Royalty. Yeah. Right now I'm working on. So I just did the Halo video where it's like the super serious lore Q&A, and it's just a shitpost video, like literally
super serious.
Quotation super serious. And I'm doing one for Destiny as well. Those are super fun to do. And then let's see, I'm actually gonna do serious lore, like a serious lore Q&A, for both of them. And then I've also got this really cool. I've been working on it. It's a kind of look at the Destiny origin story, and because we got a creation myth, essentially. Well, not a myth. I mean, we're told it's the truth. Yeah. And the darkness really doesn't have a reason to lie to us. And it's in one of those weird ways where it thinks it's right.
Right.
So it wouldn't win the argument if it lied, if that makes sense. Now, don't get me wrong. Is what it's saying tainted by its own perspective? Yes. Same things with orcs, right? If we read the Book of Sorrows and stuff like that. Anyways, there's a lot of parallels between the origin story that we got in those books and Paradise Lost. Okay, because you have the light and the darkness, and they were in the garden, right? And the winnower and the were doing their thing, and then suddenly the light basically goes, I don't like these rules. I don't want things done. And the darkness is like, no, I don't like where this is going. And then she just changes the rules, and then the darkness and the light are now fighting. So the darkness, technically speaking, at least from its perspective, isn't a bad guy. It's just playing by the rules that the light set. So, it's just doing what it's told to do. And so you kind of see the parallel of like the fall from, the Garden of Eden, but you also have the fall of Lucifer and stuff like that. And it's you see a lot of the imagery, but it's done in a really cool modern monomyth sort of way, where they take these old tropes, and they remix them, reimagine them, and then tell their own mythology.
So you're working on something that's going to talk about that?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll call me interested.
Yeah, that's my big
awesome.
project right now.
Guys, make sure you check out Joker on YouTube. It's
probably not social media. Unless you want hot takes.
Hey, I think it's great. But check him out on YouTube. Definitely give him a subscription, some likes. You're gonna get very good content out of that. Very entertaining videos. And check out Orchid, especially for the otters.
Right.
Worth it if you need some otters in your life. Very fun.
I post a lot of stuff about work. I work in the forestry. I do a lot of. I'm a chemist for forestry companies.
Smarter than me.
So
say that. Way smarter than I am.
You get some real weird tweets from me about work.
It's all good. It's all good.
Destiny and everything else. So
nice.
Well, I think we all have shown that we have hopes and fears going into Beyond Light. And
Just don't say sunsetting again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
it's easy to complain and like be a little hesitant, especially with the last year. But
Yeah.
at the same time, we're still here. We're still like going into it. I think that's the best advertisement for it that you could give. It's like, yeah, I don't know everybody, so I'm not going to speak for everybody. I have not liked the last year. So I've just stayed in Crucible. You know, I'll play things when it comes out and give my hot take on it, and then I'll go right back to Crucible.
Right.
So, okay, you know, that's where we're at as far as I'm playing. But I'm still like, okay, Exo Stranger, Darkness Pyramids, you know, Fallen Civil War, because we have House Dark now. We already have House Light, by the way. That's what Mithrax or whatever his name is. I keep being told I pronounce it wrong.
Mithrax and Misrax.
Yeah, Mithrax, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
because like Sure Ido wrote it down wrong or something. Like that's the reason why it's spelled stupid.
Yeah.
Like there's like a lore reason. I don't remember what it is.
Yeah.
But he's part of House Light, and I'm calling it now. He's gonna be resurrected as a guardian.
Oh, I
Like
hope so.
if that's not if that's been so telegraphed, it's not even funny.
Well, you know, if you guys are down to be on episode 2, I think that episode should be all about lore.
Heck yeah.
And I will get all the
Yeah.
talking points ready for that. That
Oh,
would be a
geez.
lot of fun.
Yeah.
So,
That would be fun.
all right, gamers, thank you for listening to this episode of the ROGCast. You can find it on Spotify and whatnot. It's under ROGCast. And thanks for tuning in and listening to this. And I hope you have a wonderful evening. Okay.
Bye.